Chapter 751. Compensation for demolition. Although Mrs. Tang knew how powerful Lin Yi was, she was still afraid of the people from Qibing Real Estate. Those people were like the mafia, overbearing. If it wasn't for Lin Yi's protection, she wouldn't dare to come into contact with them. It's like this. Didn't we demolish your house before? So the compensation for your house has been approved. We would like to invite you to the headquarters of Qibing Real Estate, Qibing Tower, at 8 a.m. tomorrow to discuss the compensation with us, Su Jiaonong said. There's compensation? Mrs. Tang was taken aback. She thought that the 3 million Lin Yi had asked for already included the compensation for the demolition. Why was he giving her money now? Mrs. Tang was shocked. Of course, we demolished your house, so we'll naturally give you compensation. Su Jiaonong said, of course we've set the number at 2 million. You'll have to come tomorrow to discuss the details. If you think it's not enough, you can bring it up tomorrow. Hey, is it 8 a.m. tomorrow? I'm coming over. Mrs. Tang was shocked. Another 2 million for no reason? Okay, after you arrive, take the elevator from the underground parking lot and go to the second floor. You'll see the demolition team there. Su Jiaonong hinted to Mrs. Tang to let Lin Yi drive her there. Okay, I'll remember it. No problem, see you tomorrow. Mrs. Tang quickly noted it down. After hanging up, everyone looked at Mrs. Tang in confusion. Wang, what's wrong? What compensation? Xiaofen's mother asked curiously. Didn't my house get demolished? Someone called Su Jiaonong from the demolition team of Qibing Real Estate called me and asked me to go to his company tomorrow to get the compensation. 2 million. Mrs. Tang was shocked by the number herself. Her house was worth at most 100 to 200,000. How could they compensate 2 million? Mrs. Tang's first thought was that it was Lin Yi's contribution. Wasn't Qibing Real Estate managed by Xihua and Master Bing? Could it be that Xihua was afraid that Lin Yi would cause trouble for them, so he came to please Lin Yi? Thinking about it, this was the only possibility. 2 million. When Xiaofen's mother heard this number, she was immediately dumbfounded. The other neighbors were also the same. After hearing this number, they were suddenly shocked and didn't know what to say. Your house is worth 2 million? Lu Xingwen's mother asked in surprise. They are afraid of Lin Yi, that's why they gave us 2 million. Otherwise, that broken house is not even worth 200,000, let alone 2 million. Although Mrs. Tang said it calmly, she was very happy in her heart. Like I said, our broken house is worth 2 million. We can even buy a villa with 2 million. Xiaofen's mother shook her head. It's already not bad if they can give us 80 to 100,000. Don't say that. This kind of thing depends on negotiation. Mrs. Tang laughed. Xiaofen's mother and Lu Xingwen's mother sighed. Negotiation? Our family doesn't have a powerful figure like Lin Yi, so where would we go to negotiate? Will they negotiate with us? Xiaofen's mother and Lu Xingwen's mother were a little dispirited when they thought about the gap between their family and the developer. They chatted for a while and left to discuss how to deal with the developer. Previously, they thought that Tang Yun's family was very unlucky. They were the first to get their house demolished. But now it seemed that they were the best. After the neighbors left, Mrs. Tang immediately told the good news to Tang Yun. Qibing Real Estate Company just called me. They want to compensate us 2 million for the demolition fees. Mrs. Tang just saw a huge sum of 3 million and now there was another 2 million. She wasn't as excited as before. They want to compensate us 2 million? Really? Tang Yun didn't believe it. Didn't they just compensate us 3 million? Why do they want to compensate us 2 million today? I don't know. Maybe they are afraid of Lin Yi? They want to spend money to please Lin Yi and are afraid that Lin Yi will cause trouble for them again? Mrs. Tang guessed, yesterday that Li Xihua was quite afraid of Lin Yi, right? Please? There's no need for that, right? Tang Yun heard her mother's words and became suspicious. Although he is afraid of Lin Yi didn't say anything. There's no reason for them to give us money on their own, right? This doesn't make sense, right? Doesn't make sense? How is it not reasonable? Isn't it good that they are giving us money? Mrs. Tang felt that Tang Yun was being too careful. It's not that it's not good, but why would they give us money? Mom, I think there's something wrong with this. Tang Yun felt that something was wrong. Why would Li Xihua give them money on his own initiative? When Lin Yi asked for 3 million, he was unwilling to give it to him. Why would he give it to them on his own initiative now? Won't we know tomorrow whether there's a problem or not? Mrs. Tang didn't care. Tomorrow at 8 in the morning, They want us to go to the second floor of Chibing skyscraper to collect the compensation. Can you ask Lin Yi if he is free and ask him to go with us? Oh. Tang Yun wanted to ask Sihua what he was up to, but Sihua didn't seem to care. He gave them 3 million before and now he gave them 2 million. Lin Yi received Tang Yun's call on the way to school. When he heard from Tang Yun that Chibing Real Estate wanted them to go to Chibing skyscraper to collect the compensation tomorrow, Lin Yi was stunned. The Chibing skyscraper is finished already? Tang Yun thought that Lin Yi would be curious about the compensation, but she didn't expect Lin Yi to ask such a question. She couldn't help but be amused by Lin Yi. Why? Do you want to demolish it again? Oh, I'll demolish it again if you piss me off again, Lin Yi smiled. His skyscraper collapsed and he still wants to give you money? Are you retarded? Think so too. Do you think there's a problem here? Tang Yun had been worried about this problem. Aren't we idiots if we don't take the money? Lin Yi didn't think there was a problem. Since they are giving us money, I'll go with you tomorrow. But Tang Yun still felt that something was wrong. Even if there is a problem, what can we do? I'm here, what are you afraid of? Lin Yi was clear that even if Li Zihua and Zhao Qibing wanted to do something, what could they do? His strength had completely recovered and it was impossible for them to make him stay. Tang Yun heard Lin Yi's words and nodded. Yes, with Lin Yi here, what was there to worry about? Chapter 752. House you came. After ending the call with Lin Yi, Tang Yun sent a message to her mother, telling her that Lin Yi would accompany her to Chibing building to get the compensation. Mrs. Tang was relieved when she heard that Lin Yi would be accompanying her. Sihua was so afraid of Lin Yi, so she believed that he would be able to get more compensation tomorrow? From Su Jiaonang's tone, it seemed like the compensation could be increased. Lin Yi didn't think much about it. When he returned to school, he was relieved to see Miss and Yushu in the classroom. Lin Yi felt that these were troubled times and he should be more careful. Lin Yi's feeling was right. At this moment, in the office of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company, Fatty Lai's office, there was an uninvited guest. Although the products of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company hadn't officially entered the market yet, the company was already starting to take shape. It was completely reformed from the previous trading company, and only a few new departments were added. This was a piece of cake for Fatty Lai, a veteran in the business world. After Fatty Lai accompanied Lin Yi and Tang Yun to buy a house, he returned to Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. He used the poisoning incident of Songshan's first school to make a name for Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. Fatty Lai wanted to follow up and release his company's first product, Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine, into the market. Fatty Lai was preparing a marketing plan and wanted to have a meeting with the higher-ups of the company. But when he returned to the company, his secretary called. Boss Lai, there is a client who wants to see you. He said that he is from Yenjing and wants to discuss a collaboration with our company. The secretary said, do you think, I'm already back at the company, where is he? Fatty Lai was startled. His company's products weren't even released into the market and someone wanted to discuss a collaboration? However, in this period of time, Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company's name was very well known. They also shone in the auctions in Yenjing. If this customer came from Yenjing, then it was possible. In the VIP client room next to the general manager's office, the secretary lowered his voice. Director Lai, this client looks very young. Age isn't a symbol of strength. I'll take a look first. Fatty Lai thought to himself. Wasn't Lin Yi young as well? But his strength was quite formidable. Fatty Lai entered the company and all the employees greeted him. Although the company was called Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Company, the employees knew that Fatty Lai was the one in charge of the daily management, so they respected him. Fatty Lai took the elevator up and went straight to the VIP room without stopping. This was the first client he was going to work with, so Fatty Lai had to pay attention to it. The secretary saw Fatty Lai enter the VIP room and quickly stood up to welcome him. Chairman Lai, you're here. This is the client from Yenjing, Mr. Yu, Mr. Rain? Fatty Lai's eyes narrowed. His surname was Yu? Could it be someone from House Yu of Yenjing? House Yu wanted to work with him? Fatty Lai nodded and said to the secretary, okay, I got it. You can go do what you need to do. Yes, Mr. Lai. The secretary placed the tea in front of Fatty Lai and Mr. Yu and left the meeting room. Chairman Lai, right? The young man with the surname Yu seemed to be arrogant. He didn't stand up but looked at Lai Changyi indifferently. Let me introduce myself. Yukun. This is my name card. Yukun took out his name card and passed it to Fatty Lai. Fatty Lai didn't mind Yukun's arrogance. He was a businessman, so he didn't show his emotions on his face. He still smiled as he took Yukun's name card. He looked at the content. House U Business, General Manager Assistant Yukun. House U Business. Fatty Lai didn't doubt it anymore. This Yukun really came from House U. As such, it was normal for him to be a little arrogant. People from House U, the head of the 4 big houses and 5 small houses. People who came from there would definitely have a sense of superiority in their hearts. Oh, Assistant Yukun. Fatty Lai smiled and shook Yukun's hand. He was laughing coldly in his heart. You don't have to act all high and mighty in front of me. Sooner or later your House U will come and carry my shoes for my boss. When that time comes, you'll have to get permission from me as your follower. I don't believe that no matter how powerful your House U is, you're all immortal monsters and won't die of old age. As long as you're sick and others can't cure you, you'll have to beg me if you want to live. Yukun still didn't stand up. He just sat there and reached out his hand to shake Fatty Lai's hand. We don't need to say anything unnecessary. Let's get to the point. Mr. Yu, please go ahead. Fatty Lai nodded and sat opposite Yukun. He looked like he was all ears. Miracle Dr. Guan's medicine company's pill of life extension and toxin cleansing and injury medicine were very popular in our House U's auction. I heard that your new product is going to be released soon. It's called Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine? Yukun asked indifferently. That's right. It's in the final stage of preparation. It'll probably be released soon. Fatty Lai didn't hide anything. He had already said this during the press conference. There was no need to keep it a secret. Yes. Although your pill of life extension and toxin cleansing and injury medicine are quite popular, the future of this injury medicine is still unknown. Am I right? Yukun looked at Fatty Lai and said in a condescending tone. Of course. It's hard to say what the future of something that hasn't been released yet. Fatty Lai was still smiling. However, he was very dissatisfied with this Yukun. Who the hell do you think you are? You dare to question the future of boss's injury medicine? You idiot. If you weren't from House U, I would have kicked you out of this meeting room. It seems like Mr. Lai is a smart man. This time, I'm representing House U to give your Miracle Dr. Guan's medicine company a benefit. Yukun looked at Fatty Lai indifferently. However, before that, Mr. Lai must answer a few of my questions truthfully. What questions? Fatty Lai was getting more and more annoyed. Was this Yukun retarded? Giving him a benefit? With his attitude, what benefit could he get? Why did House U send an idiot over? Chapter 753. For the map. Besides, if Yukun's negotiation partner wasn't Fatty Lai, but someone like House Kong who was eager to become a noble house, then no matter what Yukun's attitude was, the other party would be grateful to him. This was House U's prestige and it was also the pride of House U. So from House U's point of view, Yukun's attitude wasn't inappropriate at all. House U talking to someone else was a form of charity, a form of grace. But this time they were looking for the wrong person. In Fatty Lai's heart, Lin Yi was the supreme being. House U was nothing in front of Lin Yi. House U was powerful. Then why did you buy our pill of life extension and toxin cleansing? The question is simple. Mr. Lai once bought a broken piece of the map in our House U's auction. May I know why Mr. Lai bought this piece of the map? Yukun went straight to the point. He didn't think that Fatty Lai would hide anything in front of House U. If he was able to participate in House U's auction, then he must know House U's background. Who would dare go against House U? Map? What map? Fatty Lai was startled. Since when did he buy a map? Yukun looked at Fatty Lai's expression and froze as well. He was a practitioner of martial arts and was good at reading people's expressions. From Fatty Lai's shocked expression, it seemed like Fatty Lai didn't know much about the map. However, Fatty Lai suddenly remembered that he did help Lin Yi bid for a fragment of the map. Could it be that House U's people were here for the map? What cooperation? Benefits? Were they all excuses? Fatty Lai thought that it was possible. It was obvious that Yukun came with a purpose, and that purpose was the map fragment. What kind of secret was hidden in the map? Mr. Lai, are you forgetful? Yukun looked at Fatty Lai mockingly. You bought a map from the auction. How could you not remember? Remember. Fatty Lai knew he couldn't hide it anymore, so he admitted it. But I bought it out of curiosity, so I didn't think of it when you asked. Indeed, there is such a sheepskin map. Since Mr. Lai remembered, that's great. What are you going to do with this map? Can you tell me? In other words, do you have a similar map fragment in your hands? Yukun was 80% sure that Fatty Lai didn't know what the map was for. Otherwise, Fatty Lai wouldn't have that shocked expression on his face when Lin Yi asked him about it. I'm just curious, it's no big deal. I've never seen anything like it. Fatty Lai shook his head. Really? Obviously, Yukun didn't trust Fatty Lai's words. Fatty Lai might not know the secret of the map, but if he hadn't seen the map before, why would he buy something useless? Of course, Fatty Lai smiled. Alright, if that's the case, give me the map and I'll still give you something good. Yukun decided to change his strategy. He wanted Fatty Lai to give him the map. If it was useful to him, he wouldn't give it to him. If it was useless, he would give it to him. Oh, you want to give me something good? Can you tell me about it first, Mr. Yu? Fatty Lai didn't agree to Yukun's request directly. It's fine if I tell you. As long as you give me the map, House Yu will be the sole distributor of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company, Yukun said faintly. All you have to do is sit back and count your money. Fatty Lai looked at Yukun in disbelief. You call this a benefit? You sure have a big appetite. You want to be the sole distributor of my company's products? Are you an idiot or am I an idiot? The popularity of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company's products was foreseeable. Fatty Lai knew how powerful Lin Yi was and how effective the products were. Hippie said that whoever was the distributor would make the most money. Fatty Lai, on the other hand, didn't want to give up the dealership. He had a trading company that had merged with Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company to become a marketing department. He could do his own channels, so why would he give the profits to others? Of course, if it was a small company that wasn't famous, if they could establish a relationship with House Yu's trading company and let them be the sole distributor, they wouldn't have to worry about the sales. House Yu had a wide network. No matter where it was, they would give them face. So, under normal circumstances, if House Yu were to be the sole distributor of a new product, the company would save a lot of effort. Not only would they save on the distribution fees and advertising fees, they wouldn't have to worry about the sales of the product. Because everything would be decided by House Yu. However, to Fatty Lai, this was like asking for a lion's share. How was this a benefit? It was obvious that Fatty Lai wanted benefits from him. How is it? Aren't the conditions good? Yukun saw Fatty Lai's surprised expression and thought that he was shocked by the generous conditions. He couldn't help but feel proud. If it's a distribution cooperation, then I can't make the decision. Our Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company has a sales department and we have our own distribution channels. Fatty Lai smiled apologetically, but if House Yu's trading company wants to order some injury medicine in bulk, we can give you a good price. What do you mean? Yukun's face darkened immediately. He didn't expect Fatty Lai to reject him. House Yu offered to be the agent of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company and was rejected? Yukun felt like he had lost face. Not only did he lose face, but House Yu also lost face. How could Fatty Lai refuse to do something that others could only dream of? Didn't he know how wide House Yu's distribution channels were? A new product that hadn't even entered the market, and he wanted to create his own distribution channels? The market was now under the control of Dr. Kang's golden creation. How could a new brand like you want to create your own? You did have some reputation in the upper class, but you want the people to recognize you without House Yu's distribution channels? Dream on. Mr. Yu, the company doesn't belong to me alone. I'm just a manager. Within my authority, I can only discuss the supply and sales of the product. As for the distribution rights, I don't have that power because the company's original intention was to be the agent, Fatty Lai shrugged. Chapter 754. Was this considered a benefit? House Yu had high hopes for the products from Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. After all, the effects had been tested. As long as it was a special edition injury medicine, it would be very useful. So House Yu smelled a business opportunity and wanted to get the distribution rights before Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company became famous. Then they wouldn't have to worry about the future. Money would come rolling in. From House Yu's perspective, although Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company had good products, it was still a small company. They would definitely feel uneasy when the new products hit the market. If a giant like House Yu cooperated with them, they would be overjoyed. They would even give up a lot of benefits. House Yu's plan was good. That was why Yukun was so arrogant. He didn't want to be rejected by Fatty Lai and lose all his face. His arrogant attitude before was like a monkey. Fatty Lai didn't even want to give up the distribution rights. He was just thinking too much. This isn't my personal decision. I've said it before, I'm just a professional manager. Fatty Lai smiled. Mr. Yu, other than that, what other benefits will you give us? Fatty Lai's words sounded like mockery to Yukun's ears. Yukun's face turned red and he looked at Fatty Lai with hatred. Piece of the map, name a price. I'm sorry, I don't lack money. Besides, I gave the map to someone else. Fatty Lai shook his head. Gave it to someone else? You actually gave it to someone else? Yukun was agitated and lost his good attitude. He was one of the most outstanding disciples of the third generation of House Yu. He was the object of admiration everywhere. But here he was being rejected. He had lost his patience and was getting angry. I bought it with my own money. Why can't I give it to someone else? Fatty Lai shrugged. Good, very good. See. Yukun stood up and walked out of the guest room. You will know the price of offending House Yu. Offending House Yu? Fatty Lai looked at Yukun's back and laughed coldly. This was a disciple of House Yu? What the hell? He had been talking to him in a friendly manner. He only rejected his overbearing suggestion and now he offended House Yu? With this kind of upbringing, House Yu wouldn't last more than 3 generations. In the past, Fatty Lai might have been afraid of House Yu, afraid that they would cause trouble for his company in the future, but now that he was with Lin Yi, he felt that Lin Yi was omnipotent. House Yu was nothing compared to Lin Yi. After Yukun left, Fatty Lai called Lin Yi. He had to tell Lin Yi about this. Boss, is it convenient for you to speak now? Fatty Lai asked. Speak. Lin Yi had just arrived at school and there was no class today, so no one noticed that Lin Yi was answering the phone in the classroom. Just now House Yu sent someone over. Fatty Lai said, it's a young man called Yukun. He looks like he's in his 20s. House Yu? What are they here for? Hearing the 2 words House Yu, Lin Yi took a deep breath. They're here to ask about the fragment of the map that you bought at House Yu's auction. Fatty Lai said, they asked me if I know what it's used for and if I've seen similar fragments. Oh? Could it be that they purposely took out the fragment of the map from the auction? Lin Yi suddenly thought of the young man who followed him that night. His martial arts weren't weak. At first he thought that he was sent by House Kong, but now that he thought about it, House Kong didn't have any masters. To be able to order a golden class master around, who else other than the aristocratic families could do it? Could it be that he was also from House Yu? Did he follow them for the fragment of the map as well? That's possible. Fatty Lai nodded. Otherwise he wouldn't have tried to buy the fragment of the map from me. If they wanted it, they could have gotten it at the auction. They wouldn't have to go through so much trouble. Ha! Lin Yi smiled faintly. The fragment of the map seemed to be a treasure. Lin Yi put it in his drawer because he didn't know what it was used for, so he didn't take it out to study it. Now House Yu was treating it as a treasure? Could it be that they knew the secret of the map? Also, the funny thing is that this Yukun kept saying that he wanted to give us a benefit. The benefit he was talking about was the distribution rights of our company's products. That's ridiculous. You call that a benefit? He just wants a benefit, right? Fatty Lai said sarcastically. Ha, if it was some other small company they might treat it as a benefit. Lin Yi smiled faintly and reminded, House Yu has a lot of masters. Take care of your own safety. Don't fight them head on. Of course I know. I've always been humble. It's just that Yukun is too arrogant. Fatty Lai shook his head. Did he leave just like that? He didn't say anything else? Lin Yi didn't believe that House Yu would give up just like that. If they really came for the map they would definitely do something. He said that I'll wait and see. He wants me to know the price of offending House Yu. Fatty Lai said. I got it. Lin Yi's lips curved slightly. House Yu, it doesn't matter if you're a hidden house or a huge force. You better not mess with me. Otherwise no one will look good in the end. Lin Yi hung up the phone. He didn't mind. Since House Yu wouldn't give up, he would just have to wait for them to come to him. After hanging up, Lin Yi looked at the message on his phone. There was a message when he picked up the phone. My daddy wants to treat you to dinner tonight. The message was from Mississippi. Chu Pingzhan wanted to treat him to dinner? Lin Yi thought that it was probably because he saved Meng Yao yesterday. Since Chu Pingzhan wanted to treat him, Lin Yi naturally wouldn't reject it. He replied, okay, I got it. Chapter 755. The miss with insomnia. Without a doubt, with Lin Yi joining the villa, Meng Yao was confused at first, but after Meng Yao completely accepted Lin Yi's existence, Meng Yao didn't want Lin Yi to leave. Lin Yi took care of her meticulously, even better than her father and Faubert. He allowed the miss, who lacked a mother's love since young, to find her own happiness. She even wanted to let Lin Yi stay in the villa for the rest of his life, taking care of her and Shu. But Meng Yao knew that it was impossible. There was still Tang Yun in the middle, and this was the reason why the miss hated Tang Yun so much. She didn't think that she hated Tang Yun because she liked Lin Yi, but because Tang Yun took away the happiness that was supposed to belong to her. If Lin Yi left, who would care for her? Meng Yao didn't want Lin Yi to leave. It wasn't until yesterday when Lin Yi looked at her body that Meng Yao had some strange thoughts in her mind. If Lin Yi was her boyfriend, then wouldn't he have left? Even Meng Yao herself was shocked by the thought. He liked Lin Yi? Was it true? Impossible. It must be because she was messing around all day calling her first wife and second wife that she was going crazy. But Meng Yao really wanted Lin Yi to stay. She didn't know what to do. Who could she talk to? Yushu. That girl's mouth wasn't tight and she had a wild imagination. She might not even be able to express herself clearly, and it would become that she was chasing after Lin Yi? Meng Yao didn't dare to tell her. Her father just called saying that they were going out for dinner to thank Lin Yi, so Meng Yao sent Lin Yi a text. Seeing that Lin Yi agreed, Meng Yao calmed down. Yao sis? What's wrong? Why do you look like you're in a trance? Yushu observed Meng Yao for a long time. Trance? No way, right? I didn't sleep well last night. Meng Yao shook her head. Oh, then why didn't you sleep well? Yushu asked. It's because I've just recovered from a serious illness. Meng Yao naturally wouldn't reveal her true thoughts. Oh, I thought you were thinking of Shield Bro, Yushu said, staring at Meng Yao. What do I want him to do? You think I'm like you? Meng Yao frowned, turning her head away from Yushu. Yao sis, I feel like something's wrong with you, Yushu said seriously. What's wrong now? Meng Yao felt that Yushu was really annoying. She just liked to find out this and that whenever she had nothing better to do. It's hard to say. I'll tell you after I observe. Yushu said after some thought. Meng Yao didn't know what to say. Keep observing then, I'll go read. With that, Meng Yao picked up a revision book and started reading. Yushu stared at Meng Yao for a while but didn't find anything wrong with her. She went back to her book as well. After school, Lin Yi drove Tang Yun back to the hospital before heading to Pingzhan Business Hotel. Pingzhan was treating. Naturally, this was his first choice. Pingzhan Business Hotel seemed to be unusually crowded today. The outdoor parking lot in front of the entrance was already full. Lin Yi had no choice but to drive to the underground parking lot. The underground parking lot was a membership system. Only guests with Pingzhan Business Hotel's membership card could park there. When the manager of the parking lot saw Lin Yi driving a broken van with a diamond card, he was shocked. Was this the dirty hobby of rich people? Lin Yi didn't care about the expression on the manager's face. In fact, Lin Yi didn't have to drive this broken van to show off. It was just that there was a car that Lin Yi couldn't be bothered to change. If this car broke down or got lost, Lin Yi would just change to another one. The elevator in the parking lot went straight to the private room upstairs. It was the same room that Pingzhan treated him to last time. Lin Yi knocked on the door. Soon, Faubert opened the door and saw Lin Yi. Mr. Lin, you're here? Faubert's attitude towards Lin Yi changed from normal to sincere respect. This was because of his understanding of Lin Yi's strength. Lin Yi fought Uncle Zhu to a draw and Uncle Zhu was lying on the bed right now. Lin Yi, on the other hand, acted as if nothing had happened. People with strength would always be respected by others. Faubert was a golden class physical practitioner. He was naturally respectful towards a mystic class spiritual practitioner like Lin Yi. This had nothing to do with Pingzhan. It was just his personal respect towards Lin Yi. Faubert, am I late? Sorry to keep everyone waiting. Lin Yi smiled as he walked into the room. Oh, Shield Bro is here. Can I start eating now? Yushu obviously couldn't wait any longer. She looked at the dishes on the table with saliva dripping from her mouth. Shu. Meng Yao glared at Yushu. Don't be rude. Why do you look like a starving ghost? Be careful that you won't be able to find a husband in the future. Oh, I can if you can find one. Yushu didn't care at all. Meng Yao was speechless. Lin Yi, come sit. Pingzhan stood up from his seat and walked towards Lin Yi. Pingzhan was very confident in Lin Yi's ability. His daughter was safe this time and the school's problem was solved perfectly. Lin Yi was the main reason. Uncle Chu, you're welcome. Lin Yi quickly made a gesture of invitation. Uncle Chu, please sit. Peng Zhan was Lin Yi's elder. Lin Yi naturally wouldn't be rude. Meng Yao saw that her dad stood up and it wasn't nice for her to sit either. She held Shu's hand and stood up. Lin Yi, thank you for yesterday. Oh Yao Yao sis, you're welcome. We're family, right? You're Shield Bro's first wife. Of course Shield Bro has to save you, or he won't have a wife anymore. Yushu mumbled with a bun stuffed in her mouth. Shu, what nonsense are you talking about? Meng Yao was pissed. A bun can't stop your mouth? Come have another one. Meng Yao picked up a bun and forced it into Yushu's mouth. Wah wah. Yushu couldn't say anything. Her eyes rolled back. Peng Zhan looked at his daughter and Shu and found it funny. He couldn't help but laugh. Lin Yi was used to it. He shrugged, don't stuff her to death. Meng Yao blushed at Lin Yi's words. She remembered what happened last time and felt sorry for Shu. She pulled the bun out of her mouth and put it on the plate. Peng Zhan smiled and invited Lin Yi to sit. Lin Yi sat on Meng Yao's left and Yushu sat on Meng Yao's right. Meng Yao, on the other hand, was stunned as well. Lin Yi didn't care about the shares? Yeah, Lin Yi didn't seem to care about the 3 million. It seemed like Lin Yi wasn't someone who cared about money. Yao Yao, Lin Yi is now the second largest shareholder of Peng Zhan Industries, Peng Zhan said to Meng Yao. Second largest shareholder? Meng Yao was even more puzzled. It was true that her father was the largest shareholder, but if her father's shares were divided into two, he wouldn't even be the third largest shareholder, let alone the second. And her father couldn't have transferred most of the shares to Lin Yi and kept a small portion for himself, right? Yes, Xie Guanghua has already transferred all the shares under his name to Lin Yi, Peng Zhan said. Meng Yao understood. So it was another shareholder who had transferred his shares to Lin Yi? She didn't know what was going on, but it was an indisputable fact that Lin Yi had a net worth of 10 million yuan. With a net worth like that, why was he still staying in the villa? In an instant Meng Yao felt a little happy. Did he think of her as a friend? Was that why he continued to stay in the villa? In fact, Meng Yao didn't know that Lin Yi's mission had nothing to do with money. The reason why Lin Yi accepted this mission was because his old man had promised him that he could retire after completing it. Lin Yi was getting tired of his wandering life and wanted to settle down. Alright, let's not talk about this. Lin Yi, hurry up and eat, we're all hungry. There are no rules in a family banquet, just eat your fill. Peng Zhan said as he picked up a piece of meat and put it into his mouth, chewing it in big mouthfuls. Lin Yi was hungry as well. He was about to eat when he saw a butter bun on his plate with a row of teeth marks and a small amount of saliva on it. This was the bun that Yushu was chewing on? Did the miss throw it into his plate after pulling it out? Lin Yi naturally wouldn't mind Yushu. He'd already performed CPR on her, so it wasn't a big deal. Besides, Yushu was very cute and Lin Yi had a good impression of her. So Lin Yi didn't hesitate and put the bun in his mouth. That's... Meng Yao had been watching Lin Yi from the corner of her eyes. She wanted to warn him when she saw him put the bun in his mouth, but it was too late. Meng Yao saw that Lin Yi had already eaten it and there was no point in saying anything now. She shook her head. Lin Yi ate Shu's saliva? Did that count as an indirect kiss? Indirect? Didn't these two kiss already? They already did CPR, what's another indirect kiss? The Shu, she really didn't pay attention. Meng Yao suddenly thought of a problem. Shu's attitude towards Lin Yi seemed to be different. Since young, Shu always played pranks on other boys. Only boys who liked Yushu would understand how tragic life was. They were either played to death or beaten to death by Qin Yutian. But Shu didn't seem to play pranks on Lin Yi. Did she get along well with him? Meng Yao had to admit that these two were quite compatible when they teamed up to play pranks on others. They were the best partners. Shu couldn't have fallen for Lin Yi, could she? Meng Yao felt that it was highly possible. Shu's attitude towards Lin Yi was obviously different from other boys. She didn't think so much before, but now that she thought about it, she could see the problem. Chapter 757. The villa screams. Meng Yao was distracted during meal, she didn't even hear Peng Zhan calling her. Meng Yao looked at her dad, stunned. Daddy, you're calling me? Yao Yao, what's on your mind? I want you to give me a toast. If it wasn't for him yesterday, I wouldn't even be able to see you. Peng Zhan said with a smile. Okay. Meng Yao raised her glass subconsciously, only to realize that the juice was empty. Yushu quickly filled her glass with juice and Meng Yao raised her glass again. She looked at Lin Yi, remembering what happened yesterday, and couldn't help but feel a little shy. She lowered her eyes and said, "Thank you. You've said that many times already." Lin Yi was amazed. It was rare to see the shy side of the miss. She was quite pretty. If she wasn't his employer, perhaps he would have gone after her? Yeah. Meng Yao humphed lightly, finishing the juice in her glass. I drank it all. Lin Yi finished his as well. He could tell that the miss wasn't used to social gatherings like this. Peng Zhan probably didn't bring her to these banquets often, which was probably why she wasn't affected by those bad habits. The miss was a simple and honest person. She gave people the feeling that she was unapproachable, but she would care about you after getting to know you. She wouldn't say it out loud, but Lin Yi could feel it. Peng Zhan didn't purposely raise Meng Yao into a strong businesswoman, and this made Lin Yi wonder. Was Peng Zhan not planning for Meng Yao to take over his position in the future? Or was Peng Zhan using the more popular method abroad, letting Meng Yao hold the company's shares, but not participate in the company's operations? Leaving all the operations to a professional manager? Of course, this wasn't something Lin Yi had to worry about. As for Lin Yi's shares in Peng Zhan Industries, Lin Yi didn't really care. If Lin Yi didn't even care about the medical company's operations, then what about Peng Zhan Industries? It had been a while since Peng Zhan had a meal with Meng Yao, Yushu and Lin Yi, especially now that his daughter and company's problems were all solved. Peng Zhan's face was glowing with happiness. Peng Zhan still had things to do after the meal, so he got out of the car at the company's entrance. The poison incident hadn't subsided yet, so he had to go to the company personally and cooperate with the police to collect evidence. Just like when they came, Lin Yi was driving his old van, while Li Fu was driving the Bentley with Meng Yao and Yushu. The two cars went back to the villa, one in front of the other. He didn't want to bother Li Fu at first, wanting to let the miss and Yushu take his car back, but the miss refused him. Didn't I tell you to drive the S5? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. He was even considering if he didn't need to buy a new car now that his car was broken. When the two cars stopped in front of the villa's courtyard, a dog's bark came from inside. It was General Wei Wu. Lin Yi tensed up subconsciously. He touched the jade on his chest and the jade sent out a signal. Lin Yi instantly went into a state of alertness. General Wei Wu wouldn't bark for no reason, especially when Meng Yao and Lin Yi were coming back. It might have reacted if it was a stranger, but it was familiar with them. General Wei Wu was very familiar with Lin Yi, Meng Yao, Yushu and even Faubert. General Wei Wu's abnormal barking must be a sign that something was amiss. The jade on Lin Yi's chest in particular had a similar reaction. Meng Yao and Yushu got off the car and were shocked when they heard General Wei Wu's barking. Don't go in yet, it's dangerous, Lin Yi said with a shake of his head. Faubert, on the other hand, jumped off the car. Faubert was also a golden class master and he could feel that something was wrong. But before Meng Yao could ask anything, another scream came from inside the villa. It was General Wei Wu's voice, and then there was silence. General Wei Wu. Meng Yao was shocked. Her heart tightened and she didn't care much. She opened the door and wanted to rush in. General Wei Wu could be said to have grown up with Meng Yao, accompanying her from her childhood to her teenage years. They had a deep relationship. It could be said that before Lin Yi came to the villa, General Wei Wu was Meng Yao's only friend other than Yushu. So General Wei Wu's sudden scream made Meng Yao very worried. The only thought in her mind was to rush in and see what was wrong with General Wei Wu. General Wei Wu's scream changed Lin Yi's plan. Lin Yi wanted to sneak into the villa to check it out, but the situation had changed. Meng Yao rushed in and Yushu naturally followed. Although her relationship with General Wei Wu wasn't as deep as Meng Yao's, it wasn't shallow either. Plus, General Wei Wu had saved two people's lives. If it wasn't for General Wei Wu, Lin Yi wouldn't have been able to find Meng Yao and Yushu so quickly at Mount Shuangyan. The two entered the villa, and Lin Yi and Faubert didn't dare to delay and followed them in. Meng Yao turned on the chandelier in the living room, and General Wei Wu was curled up on the floor. There was blood at the corner of his mouth and he didn't know if he was dead or alive. Not far from General Wei Wu was a man in black. After Yu Kuan left Lai Changyi's company, he sneaked into Lai Changyi's villa. He didn't believe Lai Changyi's words and he wanted to go to his place to search for the map. However, Yu Kuan didn't find anything at Fatty Lai's place. He was very confident in his searching ability. After his search, he even found the key to the safe that Fatty Lai hid under the floor, but there was still no sign of the map. Yukun was absolutely sure that the map wasn't in Lai Changyi's house. However, Yukun wasn't discouraged. According to his previous investigation, there were two people with Lai Changyi at the auction. One was Lin Yi and the other was Guan Xiumin. Lin Yi was the young man he met at the pharmacy. He didn't know why, but Yukun felt that Lin Yi was more problematic than Fatty Lai and Guan Xiumin. It was because of Lin Yi that his plan to follow Lai Changyi was exposed. Chapter 758. Chapter 0758. Uninvited guest in the Villa Mingyao's personal follower? Usually staying in Mingyao's villa? A student from Songshan's first school? This result was out of Yukun's expectation. He thought that Lin Yi was someone who had a close relationship with Guan Xiumin or Lai Changyi, but he didn't expect that to be the case. Instead, he was hired by Pingzhan Industries' Miss Meng Yao. But the more it was like this, the more suspicious Yukun felt. Why would a Miss Personal Follower come to Yanjing City to attend House Yu's auction? It was possible for Pingzhan to attend the auction as a business tycoon, but who was Lin Yi? What was his relationship with Guan Xiumin and Lai Changyi? Why would people like Guan Xiumin and Lai Changyi be friends with a Miss Personal Follower? This didn't make sense at all. So after leaving Fatty Lai's villa, Yukun locked onto Lin Yi. He felt that Lin Yi was more suspicious than Guan Xiumin. If the map wasn't in Fatty Lai's hands, then it was most likely in Lin Yi's hands. So Yukun's second stop was Mingyao's villa. Luckily, there was no one in the villa other than a dog. However, the dog was very obedient. After seeing Yukun, it obediently curled up into a ball and ignored Yukun. Since the dog didn't bother him, Yukun was too lazy to deal with the dog. He started his search. Luckily, when he started searching the rooms on the first floor, he found a room similar to the one Lin Yi lived in. There were a lot of men's clothes in the room, and according to his investigation, there was no one else in Mingyao's villa other than Lin Yi. He stopped in the room and started searching. Lin Yi only placed the map in the drawer, so Yukun didn't have to spend much effort to find the map in the Wanyankan box in the drawer. This box was bought by Fatty Lai from the Kong family during the auction. Yukun didn't know what it was used for, but since he saw that Lin Yi was placed together with the map, Yukun took it with him. This was truly a case of walking all over the place in search of iron shoes, only to find it by chance. Yukun didn't expect his mission to be so successful. Not only did he get the map back, but he also got another piece of the map in an unknown box. From the way Lin Yi placed it, it was obvious that Lin Yi didn't know what the use of the box and the map was. Otherwise, he wouldn't just casually place it in the drawer. At the very least, he would hide it in a secret place. So it could be deduced that the reason why Lin Yi bought the map was because he also had a similar map. He wanted to put the two pieces together and study them. But what secret could he find from these two pieces? Yukun curled his lips. This Lin Yi was really an idiot. Didn't he understand that House Yu purposely took out the map in the auction to lure the snake out of its hole? House Yu already had 3 pieces of the map in their hands, and this was one of them. If House Yu wanted to collect more, they could only use this method to lure the snake out of its hole, luring those who had the map or knew the secret of the map to attack them. Then House Yu would find them and snatch the map from them as well. Although the method was a bit despicable, House Yu's people were very skilled. Even if someone suspected them, they wouldn't be able to find any evidence. Just like this time, Yukun didn't expect it to be so smooth. However, just as the map and the Wanyankan box were in his hands, the broken dog in the living room started barking crazily. This scared Yukun. Was there something wrong with the dog? It didn't bark before, but it only barked after he got the map and the Wanyankan box? Could it be that the dog barked because he took something from the mansion? Was it because of this reason that it didn't bark before? Yukun was annoyed and didn't think too much about it. Naturally, he ignored the sound of cars outside the mansion. In fact, there were always cars passing by outside the mansion. The rich people living here would usually return home at this time. So Yukun didn't think that it was the people from the mansion. He thought that the dog barked because he took something. He couldn't be blamed for thinking that way. It was too much of a coincidence. Who asked Lin Yi and the others to come back when he just picked up the map in the Wanyankan box? General Weiwu didn't make a sound when Yukun came to the mansion because of an instinctive fear. The dangerous aura that Yukun had on him scared General Weiwu. It was similar to the pressure that Lin Yi gave General Weiwu. So General Weiwu had an instinctive fear towards Yukuan. It was afraid that Yukuan would hurt it, so it curled up into a ball and ignored Yukuan. However, General Weiwu could tell that Yukuan didn't come with good intentions. So when Mengyao's car returned to the mansion, General Weiwu was afraid that Mengyao would enter the mansion recklessly and get hurt by Yukuan. In order to prevent Mengyao from getting hurt, General Weiwu barked. It was warning Mengyao that there was danger inside the mansion. Told Mengyao not to enter. Mengyao treated General Weiwu well and General Weiwu was grateful. It was understandable, but Yukuan misunderstood General Weiwu's intention. He thought that General Weiwu didn't want him to take something. So Yukuan felt disgusted. You're just a dog. I've already spared your life when I came here. You're fine and you're just staying there. How dare you bark? You really don't know what's good for you. How powerful was Yukuan? He was a late-phase golden class master. He kicked General Weiwu's body and General Weiwu's internal organs were injured. He spat out blood and fell to the ground. It was obvious that he wouldn't be able to live. Mengyao entered the mansion and saw General Weiwu dead on the floor. There was a man in black beside General Weiwu. She was shocked. She roughly understood why General Weiwu suddenly barked. Mengyao and General Weiwu grew up together. She knew General Weiwu's personality. This dog bullied the weak and was afraid of the strong. It became soft the moment it saw Lin Yi. Although Mengyao didn't say anything, she knew it clearly. Luckily Lin Yi was here to protect her. She wasn't worried that General Weiwu wouldn't care about him. Chapter 759. Show mercy. However, the reason why General Weiwu screamed the moment he got off the car was obviously General Weiwu's warning to him. It didn't want Mengyao to enter the villa because it was dangerous. Mengyao was touched and sad at the same time. General Weiwu had accompanied her for many lonely days and now he was lying on the floor. It seemed like he wouldn't be able to survive. At this moment Mengyao's heart was broken. Tears flowed down her face as she jumped onto the floor and hugged General Weiwu. General Weiwu, what's wrong? Don't die. She didn't know what to do as she felt like she had lost a family member. At this moment she felt so helpless. She could only watch as General Weiwu was beaten to death, but there was nothing she could do. Who are you? Faubert knew the relationship between the Miss and General Weiwu. He was furious as he looked at Yukuan coldly. You're Li Fu, right? I've heard of you. Yukuan knew that he was discovered and he wasn't in a hurry to escape. It wasn't easy to escape from Faubert, who was also a late-phase golden class master. Faubert was slightly stronger than him as well. He had reached the peak of the late-phase golden class. However, he was a spiritual master and Faubert was a physical master. Hence, although Faubert was stronger, their actual strength was about the same. If they were to fight head-on, it was still unknown who would emerge victorious. Yukuan wouldn't take the risk as both sides would be injured. Before he came to the villa, he had done a simple investigation on the people around Lin Yi. With House Yu's information network, it was impossible for a master like Faubert not to be noticed by House Yu. House Yu basically had a record of all the masters in the civilian house. Faubert was one of them. Who are you? What are you doing here? Why did you kill Miss Chu's dog? Faubert saw that Mengyao was sad and wanted to kill him. House Yu Yukuan. Yukuan didn't hesitate to tell Fatty Lai his name because even if he didn't, Li Fu could still find out his identity from Fatty Lai later. Besides, if he didn't reveal his identity as a member of House Yu, Yukuan knew that Faubert wouldn't let him go easily. Yukuan didn't want to fight because he knew that he couldn't defeat Faubert, and Faubert wouldn't be able to keep him here. If the two of them fought recklessly, both of them would be heavily injured. House Yu. Faubert froze. He didn't expect the person in front of him to be from House Yu. Faubert naturally knew about House Yu's situation. His face couldn't help but turn ugly. House Yu was a giant, not to mention Faubert. Even Pingzhan couldn't afford to offend them. Li Fu, you're a physical master at the peak of the late phase of golden class, right? Yukuan looked at Faubert and said calmly, I'm at the late phase of the golden class. You can't keep me here. You want to leave just like that? Faubert was in a dilemma. If Yukuan's strength was as he said, then Faubert really couldn't do anything to him. A spiritual master was always stronger than a physical master. Both of their strengths could be said to be on par. On the other hand, Faubert was afraid of his identity as a member of House Yu. so he didn't dare to act rashly. Or what? Yukun saw that Faubert was afraid of him and said arrogantly. Mengyao was grieving. General Weiwu, who was in her arms, seemed to move. Mengyao was surprised and opened her eyes wide, but General Weiwu didn't move anymore. General Weiwu, don't die, please don't die. Mengyao never thought that General Weiwu would leave her one day. She used to dream that when she had her own children she wanted General Weiwu to play with them, just like how she played with General Weiwu in the past. Yao Yao sis, don't be sad. Maybe Shield Bro has a way? Yushu saw that General Weiwu was exhaling more than he was inhaling. She knew that General Weiwu couldn't be saved, but seeing Mingyao's sadness she quickly comforted her. Yushu didn't feel good either. Although her relationship with General Weiwu wasn't as deep as Mingyao's, they often played together. She was used to General Weiwu's existence. When Mingyao heard Lin Yi's name, hatred flashed in her eyes. She raised her head and said to Lin Yi word by word, Lin Yi, kill this murderer for me. Okay. Lin Yi heard the Mrs. words and nodded calmly. He had already recognized the young man in black in front of him. It was the young man he met in front of the pharmacy in Yanjing City on the night of the auction. When he heard his name he couldn't help but understand. So he was the Yu Kuan who looked for Fatty Lai before. He didn't even look for him and he actually came looking for him. Lin Yi wasn't a person who liked to cause trouble, but if someone wanted to bully him he wouldn't let them bully him either. House Yu. Lin Yi took a deep breath. Alright House Yu, since you guys appeared in my life again, don't blame me for being rude. Are you here to steal my map? Lin Yi walked towards Yu Kuan and asked calmly. Steal? This belongs to House Yu, it's useless even if you want it. Yu Kuan was a little afraid of what Faubert said, but he didn't put Lin Yi in his eyes at all. In House Yu's information, it didn't mention that Lin Yi was a master. So he didn't even think that Lin Yi was a master. He was just Mingyao's bodyguard. How strong could he be? At most he was a retired special forces soldier or a Sonda athlete, he couldn't possibly be a master. Pengzhan's Faubert was only at the peak of the late phase of golden class. Miss Chu's bodyguard couldn't possibly be stronger than Faubert, could he? What's the use of the map? Lin Yi asked. Do you think I can tell you? Besides, I don't know either. Yu Kuan looked at Lin Yi with disdain. Oh, then you've lost the value of your existence. You can die now. Lin Yi suddenly attacked, releasing his aura in an instant. Lil Yi, have mercy. Faubert was shocked. He didn't think that Lin Yi would kill Yu Kuan with just a few words. He was shocked and quickly stopped him. How could he let someone from House Yu die in the villa? Wouldn't there be no end to the trouble after that? How could Pengzhan handle it? How could he fight against the giant House Yu? Chapter 760. Chapter 760, Sorrowful Young Mistress. But immediately, Yu Kuan felt that something was wrong. How was this the peak of the late phase of the golden class? Peef! Yu Kuan spat out a mouthful of blood and flew backwards. He smashed into the television in the living room and smashed it into pieces. Lin Yi instantly retracted half of his strength. He didn't understand why Faubert wanted him to go easy on him, but since it was Faubert's order, Lin Yi would naturally do as he was told. With Faubert's calmness he naturally had his reasons for doing so. Mystic class. Yu Kuan looked at Lin Yi in shock. After spitting out a few mouthfuls of blood, he spat out the two words with difficulty. Yu Kuan knew that Lin Yi went easy on him. If it wasn't for Faubert's last sentence he would have been dead. How ruthless. Yu Kuan was shocked. Where did Lin Yi come from? How did he have the strength of an early phase mystic class? How was this possible? How old was he? He didn't even look as old as Yu Kuan and he wasn't from any noble house. How could he have such powerful skills? But no matter what, Yu Kuan knew that this wasn't a place for him to stay for long. Lin Yi went easy on him this time, but it was hard to say if he would kill him next. Yu Kuan hesitated for a while and threw away the Wanyankan box and the two pieces of the map. He endured his injuries and ran out of the villa, disappearing into the night. He knew that if he didn't leave the box and the map, Lin Yi might chase after him again. If that happened he might not even be able to live. Lin Yi looked at Yu Kuan's back and didn't chase after him. Yu Kuan was already a cripple, so why bother? Ever since the incident with Li Delay, Lin Yi had a strong interest in compressing his own energy. His energy could be used by others, but after compressing it the sudden explosion wasn't something others could withstand. Lin Yi's palm that landed on Yu Kuan's body contained a compressed energy. The moment the energy entered Yukun's body, it exploded like a bomb, destroying Yukun's meridians. Therefore, even if Yukun recovered, he would still be a cripple. He would not be able to practice spiritual techniques anymore. Why not kill him? Lin Yi looked at Faubert in confusion. What Lin Yi didn't expect was that Faubert was actually a physical master at the peak of the late phase of the golden class. He's from House U, Faubert sighed. Killing someone from House U would be troublesome. Just because he's from House U? Lin Yi frowned. You don't know about House U? Faubert looked at Lin Yi's nonchalant expression and was slightly taken aback. I know, Lin Yi said indifferently, but this has nothing to do with killing him. You aren't afraid of House U? Faubert was surprised. If Lin Yi knew about House U, why did he dare to let Yukun stay? Scared? Lin Yi seemed to be asking himself. Forget it, it's fine if they ran. The reason why Lin Yi dared to kill Yukun in the villa was because everyone present was trustworthy. Meng Yao and Yushu wouldn't betray him and Faubert wouldn't either. Therefore Lin Yi dared to kill Yukun. Every circle had its own rules. Lin Yi didn't believe that House Yu would call the police if someone died. So Yukun's death wouldn't affect his life. It was just like Zhang Long and Li Yao who were beside Sihua. If they died, then so be it. This was different from Master Bing, Jiang Wen and Zhong Pingliang. Master Bing could die, but Lin Yi couldn't kill him in front of everyone. If Jiang Wen and Zhong Pingliang died, the police would definitely take action. This was why Lin Yi treated different people differently. Faubert heard Lin Yi's words and suddenly remembered Lin Yi's strength. Early phase mystic class. Was Lin Yi really at the early phase mystic class? Then what kind of background did Lin Yi have? As for Lin Yi, why would he appear beside the miss? Where did Mr. Chu invite him to come from? Such a master actually accompanied the miss to school and play with her every day like a follower? Faubert was more and more suspicious of Lin Yi. What kind of person was he? However, since Pingzhan and Lin Yi didn't say anything, Faubert wouldn't ask. He sighed slightly and walked towards Meng Yao. Meng Yao was angry at the moment, so she asked Lin Yi to kill Yukun. But when Lin Yi really did it, she regretted it. She couldn't let Lin Yi become a murderer because of her. So, although Meng Yao was disappointed that Yukun escaped, she was glad at the same time. If Lin Yi really killed Yukun, how would she clean up the mess? Miss Chu, he's from House Yu, we can't mess with him for now. Faubert asked Lin Yi to let Yukun go. He had to talk to the miss first. Faubert knew Meng Yao's sadness. He knew that she wanted to kill Yukun to avenge General Wei Wu. And Meng Yao's emotions had calmed down. She hugged General Wei Wu and wiped her tears. Miss General Wei Wu. He should be happy to know that you are safe now. Faubert didn't know how to comfort Meng Yao, but a dead dog can't come back to life. And Meng Yao replied blankly. How could she not know that a dead dog couldn't come back to life? Seeing that General Wei Wu wasn't moving anymore, it was obvious that he was dead. But Meng Yao couldn't accept it at that moment. Maybe he's not dead. Let me treat him for you. Lin Yi smiled and walked over. He looked at General Wei Wu in the miss arms and shrugged. Not dead? Meng Yao's eyes lit up when she heard Lin Yi's words. She looked at Lin Yi in disbelief and said emotionally, Lin Yi, you said that he's not dead? You're not lying to me? Have I ever lied to you? Lin Yi took General Wei Wu from the miss arms and accidentally touched Meng Yao's chest. It was very soft. Although it wasn't big, it was very bouncy. It didn't feel too bad. Lin Yi recalled the feeling in that moment. Meng Yao's face reddened. Chapter 761. His strength increased again. I can save it, but it's a little troublesome. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. He had used up a lot of energy these few days. Lin Yi, I'm begging you, can you save it? Meng Yao saw Lin Yi's expression and knew that things weren't that simple. In fact, she knew that even if Lin Yi's medical skills were superb, General Wei Wu was already on the verge of death. How could he save it? Lin Yi had used up a lot of energy to save her yesterday. She couldn't bear to ask Lin Yi to save General Wei Wu again. I said it's a little troublesome, but I didn't say I won't save it. Lin Yi looked at the miss who was staring at him. She was quite cute and his heart skipped a beat. The miss was actually a girl with emotions, but she always wrapped herself up too tightly and didn't reveal her feelings easily. And Meng Yao nodded. Why are you guys so mushy? Yeah, sis, you're going to be Shield Bro's big wife sooner or later. Of course, Shield Bro has to save the dog for you. Yushu said. Meng Yao pursed her lips and didn't say anything. She looked at Lin Yi gratefully. Lin Yi carried General Wei Wu back to his room and looked at Faubert. Faubert, please guard my room door. Don't let anyone disturb me. Although Yu Kun's martial arts were crippled by Lin Yi wasn't sure if it would work. What if someone could repair Yu Kun's meridians like him? So, Lin Yi was afraid that Yu Kun would come back with his men, so he asked Faubert to guard the door for him. This way, Faubert, as a master at the peak of the late phase of the golden class, should be able to handle it. As long as he heard the commotion, he would be able to come up with a countermeasure. That's what I should do. What's the trouble? Faubert quickly asked. You helped Miss Chu save the dog. I still have to thank you. Oh, that's what I should do. Lin Yi smiled and returned to his room. General Wei Wu wasn't completely dead, it just fainted. Although many of its internal organs were damaged, Lin Yi was confident that he could save it. It was just a matter of how he would do it. Lin Yi wondered if he could use his own energy to save the dog. Lin Yi's energy was effective on humans, but he didn't know if it was effective on dogs. If the energy was effective, it would be easier to save General Wei Wu. But if it wasn't, Lin Yi could only use acupuncture and herbs to save General Wei Wu. Jiao Lao, is my energy useful to dogs? Lin Yi was afraid that if he injected energy into General Wei Wu and killed him, it wouldn't be fun, so he asked first. I don't know. I've never tried it before. Jiao Yazi's voice rang beside Lin Yi's ear. But your energy is omnipotent. Theoretically, it should be possible, right? Why don't you try? Try? I can't die, right? Lin Yi wasn't at ease with this answer. It's impossible for it to die. At most, it's useless or overused, Jiao Yazi said. Okay, I'll try. Lin Yi had no choice but to try everything he could. Even if the patient died, the miss wouldn't blame him. He'd already tried his best. Lin Yi placed his hand on General Wei Wu's body and activated the art of dragon mastery in his heart. Instantly, he felt a strong suction coming from General Wei Wu's body, sucking the energy in Lin Yi's body. Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat. Seems like it's working? Although the suction force was strong, Lin Yi didn't dare to stop or control it. He didn't know how much energy was needed to save the dog, so he let General Wei Wu absorb it. If it absorbed too much, he could just take a nap and replenish it. Time passed by minutes and seconds. He didn't know how long it had been, but General Wei Wu's absorption speed didn't stop. It seemed like its injuries weren't light and Lin Yi didn't dare to stop. Although he felt a little dizzy, it was a warning sign that the energy in his body was depleted. But Lin Yi thought that he should endure it in order to not make the miss sad. Thinking about it, the first miss was actually quite nice to him. Other than the initial hostility after the first miss accepted him, she was quite concerned about him. Plus he touched Mrs. Chest just now. He didn't know when he would be able to touch it again. Lin Yi reminisced. As he thought about it, he fell asleep. Lin Yi used up too much energy, so he went to sleep to replenish his energy. In the space of the jade, Lin Yi saw Jiao Yazi. Jiao Lao, did I come in again? I don't know either. Jiao Yazi shook his head. I'm not sure if your energy can save the dog, but the dog did absorb a lot of it. But the most important thing now is to replenish your energy. If you faint now, what if the enemy comes? Lin Yi was shocked. He didn't dare to ask more. He quickly activated the art of dragon mastery and started absorbing the energy in the space of the jade. The energy in the space of the jade seemed to be endless. Lin Yi absorbed it so many times, but it didn't thin out at all. It was still as dense as before. Lin Yi felt that every pore on his body was open and absorbing the energy. He didn't know how much time had passed, but he suddenly felt the energy in his body fill up like never before. Mystic early phase peak? Lin Yi was shocked. He came back to reality from the space of the jade. Lin Yi realized that he was now at the peak of the early phase of the mystic class. In other words, he was only an arm's length away from the middle phase of the mystic class. What was going on? After losing energy and replenishing it, Lin Yi felt an obvious increase in his strength. Was it the same when he saved Xiao Xiao? Could it be that there was no construction without destruction? He lost a portion of his energy and replenished it so he could break through to his previous strength? Lin Yi didn't know if his guess was correct, but the truth was this amazing. Lin Yi didn't think that it would be a blessing in disguise. His strength increased so much? Woof woof. General Wei Wu barked beside Lin Yi. Lin Yi paused and suddenly remembered about General Wei Wu. He entered the energy replenishment state in a daze and didn't care about what happened to General Wei Wu. When he woke up, he was shocked by his strength and forgot about General Wei Wu's existence. Chapter 762. Golden Division Dog. It seemed like General Wei Wu was recovering well. Wait a minute. Lin Yi suddenly realized that something was wrong with General Wei Wu. Seemed to be much stronger than before. This was... Also, it seemed to be in good spirits. Other than that, there was another important question. What kind of aura was being emitted from General Wei Wu's body? What the heck? Lin Yi's eyes widened in shock. Was this General Wei Wu still General Wei Wu? Why did it seem different? Lin Yi looked at General Wei Wu in disbelief. What kind of dog was this? Was this still a normal dog? This was obviously a Golden Division dog. After the shock, Lin Yi reached out to pat General Wei Wu's head. General Wei Wu obediently rubbed its head against Lin Yi's hand. It seemed to understand humans better than before. Lin Yi tested General Wei Wu's strength. It was indeed at the early phase of the Golden Division. There were differences in strength between humans and dogs too. Also, wasn't it too ridiculous that a dog could reach the Golden Division? However, the truth was right in front of him. Lin Yi couldn't believe it. The pure qi in General Wei Wu's body was similar to that of a master at the early phase of the Golden Division. Its internal injuries were completely healed and it was even stronger now. Lil Wei, come here. Lin Yi waved at General Wei Wu. General Wei Wu came over to fawn over him and wagged its tail in front of Lin Yi. It seemed like it knew that its current strength was all thanks to Lin Yi. Next time when I'm not home you can protect Miss and Shu. But you can't fight, understand? Lin Yi was afraid that General Wei Wu didn't know how to use its strength and hurt people. With this kind of strength, wouldn't a normal person die instantly? Woof woof. General Wei Wu responded and wagged its tail as if it understood Lin Yi's words. Okay, since you're so obedient, I won't take back your power. Lin Yi originally wanted to destroy General Wei Wu's power. A dog having the power of a Golden Division was unbelievable no matter how he looked at it. But since General Wei Wu could understand him, it might not be a bad thing to keep it. At least it could be a helper. Also, Lin Yi had an immature thought. If his energy could transform a normal dog into a Golden Class Master, then could he turn a normal person into a Golden Class Master? This was something that needed to be researched. If his energy really had such an effect, then wouldn't he be able to mass-produce Golden Class Masters? Lin Yi raised his head and looked in the direction of the curtains, only to find that the sky was already turning bright. Had the night already passed? Lin Yi suddenly remembered that he asked Faubert to guard the door. Did Faubert go back to rest? With that thought, Lin Yi quickly got up and opened the door. The villa's living room was brightly lit. Faubert was guarding not far from Lin Yi's room. Meng Yao and Yushu on the other hand were leaning on each other, sitting on the sofa. They weren't asleep, but their faces were filled with anxiety. Peng Zhan was here as well. He sat on the sofa opposite Meng Yao and Yushu. Evidently he already knew what happened earlier. At this moment, Peng Zhan was frowning as he stared at the Wanyankan box and the two map fragments on the coffee table. The door to Lin Yi's room opened and attracted everyone's attention. They all looked towards Lin Yi's door. Lin Yi pushed the door open and walked out. Behind him was a healthy and energetic General Wei Wu. General Wei Wu. Meng Yao saw that General Wei Wu was fine and was overjoyed. She got up and ran over. General Wei Wu looked at Lin Yi and only jumped into Meng Yao's arms after seeing that he didn't have any expression on his face. Obviously, General Wei Wu had already treated Lin Yi as its first owner. Faubert saw General Wei Wu running out of the room in good health. He was in disbelief. Did Lin Yi really save General Wei Wu? Uncle Fu had taken a look at Wei Wu as well. The man was gasping for air and was on the verge of death. How could Lin Yi save him in a situation like this? It was unbelievable. However, something even more unbelievable was yet to come. Faubert suddenly realized that there was another high-class master hiding in the room other than Lin Yi. He had the strength of an early-phase golden class. Uncle Fu was startled. Could it be that another enemy had invaded? But there was still a gap between him and the early-phase golden class. Why didn't he notice when this person came in? After a moment, Faubert focused his eyes and frowned. His gaze finally landed on General Wei Wu. Not long after, a look of disbelief appeared on his face. If it wasn't for Faubert's calmness, he would have screamed out loud. Because this General Wei Wu was not a normal General Wei Wu. It was obviously a golden-class General Wei Wu. The threatening aura that Faubert felt came from this dog. For a moment, Faubert didn't know what to say. The situation in front of him was beyond his expectations. He had lived for half of his life and he had never seen such a magical thing. A dog turned into a golden-class dog? Could there be anything more magical than this? General Wei Wu happily squirmed in Ming Yao's arms. Lin Yi was a little envious. How good would it be if he was that dog? He could even kiss Ming Yao's chest? General Wei Wu seemed to feel Lin Yi's unfriendly gaze. He jumped out of Ming Yao's arms and looked at Lin Yi with a wronged expression. Lin Yi looked at General Wei Wu on the ground and shook his head. He was jealous of a dog. It was funny. Lil Yi. Peng Zhan stood up and looked at Lin Yi with a serious expression. Is it House Yu? It should be. But don't worry, Uncle Chu. If someone from House Yu comes for you, let him come for me, Lin Yi said nonchalantly. I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse for you to be merciful, Peng Zhan sighed, but at least you left a way out. I hope that House Yu won't go too far. Lin Yi nodded. Would House Yu send someone stronger? It was possible. Lin Yi looked at the Wanyankin box and the 2 pieces of the map on the coffee table. It seemed like this Yu Kuan from House Yu came for the 2 pieces of the map. As for the Wanyankin box, he just took it away. Otherwise, Yu Kuan wouldn't have mentioned nothing about the Wanyankin box at Fatty Lai's place. Chapter 763. Chapter 0763. Miss Harthouse, you must have a secret that he didn't know about. And Yu Kuan was just a junior of House Yu. He might not know the core secret of the map. So when Lin Yi asked Yu Kuan and got a negative answer, he decided to kill him. Mr. Chu, don't worry. I'm here. No one will hurt Yao Yao and Shu, Lin Yi said. And I'm not worried with you here. Peng Zhan patted Lin Yi's shoulder. Since there's nothing else, I'll go back first. You guys rest early? Uncle Chu, you can go back. There's nothing else here. Lin Yi got up and sent Faubert and Peng Zhan off. In the yard, Faubert opened the door for Peng Zhan and let him in. He looked at Lin Yi and didn't say anything. Ha, Faubert, I didn't know you were a golden-class late-phase peak master. Lin Yi saw that Faubert wanted to say something, so he started the conversation. Lin Yi had a good impression of Faubert. It wasn't easy to get a golden-class late-phase peak master to deliver food to the villa every day. How can I compare to you with my strength? Faubert shook his head and smiled bitterly. That dog. I don't know what happened. Too much pure qi and it became like this. Lin Yi smiled bitterly when he mentioned General Wei Wu. It was normal that Faubert could see through General Wei Wu's strength. After all, General Wei Wu was different from humans. It didn't know how to hide its strength. Anyone who practiced martial arts would be able to see through General Wei Wu's strength. I didn't expect to see a golden-class dog. Golden-class masters are rare. People knew that there was a golden-class dog in the house. Would they be scared to death? Faubert shook his head and said to Lin Yi, I'll leave the Mrs. Safety to you. I'll be leaving now. And Faubert, goodbye. Lin Yi nodded and watched Faubert's car leave. General Wei Wu had returned to normal. Meng Yao and Yushu were very happy. They were playing with General Wei Wu in the living room, and when Lin Yi came in, Meng Yao carried General Wei Wu in front of Lin Yi. Come, General Wei Wu. Let's thank Lin Yi together. Lin Yi smiled. No need to thank me as long as you're not sad. Thanks, Lin Yi. Missy said seriously, you don't know how important General Wei Wu is to me. He's very important to me. It has been with me for so many years since I was young. I know, that's why I saved it. Lin Yi nodded. Meng Yao paused, but it made sense. Lin Yi should be able to tell how sad she was. Lin Yi, you haven't rested yet, have you? It's already past 3 o'clock. Hurry up and take a rest. You guys sleep early too? Lin Yi was too embarrassed to say that he'd slept with the Miss and Yushu, after all, had been anxiously waiting for him at the door. Lin Yi didn't sleep after returning to his room. He laid on the bed thinking about House Yu. He thought that he would never have anything to do with House Yu in his life, but now House Yu had come to him? Xiao Ning. Is she part of your family? Lin Yi let out a soft sigh as the beautiful face appeared in his mind once again. I wonder how she is doing now. Lin Yi sighed. How should he face her? A few hours passed in a blink of an eye. Lin Yi laid on the bed, lost in his thoughts until he heard a noise from the living room. Miss and Shu woke up? Lin Yi looked at the time. It should be about time. He got up from the bed, pushed the door open and walked out, only to see a scene that made him very surprised. What were Miss and Shu doing in the kitchen? Shu, you big idiot. The internet said to pour the oil first. Why did you put the egg first? Meng Yao's angry voice came from the kitchen. Oh, I don't know. I thought you put the egg first and stewed it with soybean oil. Yushu said weakly. Forget it. It's healthier without oil. Meng Yao was speechless. But before she could calm down, another problem happened. The rice cooker made a crackling sound. Shu, what did you do this time? Meng Yao subconsciously ran to the rice cooker and listened carefully. She was shocked and quickly opened the lid. Her face was full of black lines. Why didn't you fill the water? How are you going to cook porridge? Oh, I thought you added the water later. Yushu said. You idiot, I shouldn't have let you be my assistant. With your cooking skills, don't even think about getting married. Meng Yao was so angry that she wanted to kick her out of the kitchen. Oh, Shield Bro knows how to cook. I don't need to do it, Yushu said indifferently. You can bring Lin Yi with you when you get married? Meng Yao's eyes widened. I can marry him. Yushu looked at Meng Yao as if it was a matter of course. You tell me the truth. Do you like Lin Yi? Meng Yao stared at Yushu's eyes. Don't you like him too? Yushu asked. I don't, Meng Yao said seriously. Shu, Lin Yi has a girlfriend. Don't go down the wrong path. Oh, I don't. I want to be a small wife. It's okay to have a girlfriend. Yushu shook her head. You are lying to yourself, Meng Yao said. Shu, what are you thinking? I'm not thinking much. I just want to be with Yao Yao sis forever, Yushu said innocently. Fine, I don't care. Do what you want. Meng Yao had a headache. She and Shu had grown up, and although they were still very close, everyone had their own secrets in the depths of their hearts. This had nothing to do with whether they were close friends or not. Everyone had their own secrets. Meng Yao looked at the popcorn in the rice cooker. She didn't know what to do. Lin Yi heard the conversation between the Miss and Shu, but he didn't interrupt. Lin Yi had a unique feeling towards Yushu. Lin Yi always felt that Yushu had a certain kind of temperament. It was familiar. But thinking about it, he really didn't know this kind of girl. After the two finished their private conversation, Lin Yi walked to the kitchen. Okay, leave it to me. You two wait in the living room. Chapter 764. Tang Yun's disappointment. Meng Yao looked at Lin Yi apologetically. You must be tired these past 2 days, right? I wanted to wake up early to make breakfast for you, but I didn't expect Shu to ruin it. I understand. Lin Yi smiled. Meng Yao pulled Yushu out of the kitchen and Lin Yi shook his head. These two really weren't made for cooking, but it was rare enough that the Miss was being so considerate. This was probably the first time the Miss had cooked in her life, wasn't it? Yushu was probably the same. Before Lin Yi came, the rice cooker's manual was still inside. It was obvious that it hadn't been used at all. Lin Yi was very familiar with making breakfast. He first set the time for the porridge, fried a few eggs and made a plate of pickled vegetables with sesame oil. It didn't take long before it was served. Yushu looked at Lin Yi, surprised. Sis, why are we so stupid? You are stupid, not me. Meng Yao was also surprised by Lin Yi's speed. Meng Yao scooped the porridge for Lin Yi and Yushu heated up the milk for the three. Lin Yi, you didn't sleep well last night. Why don't you not drive? Let Faubert drive us to school? Meng Yao was afraid that Lin Yi would drive if he was tired. I'm not sleepy. I won't go to school in a bit. I have something else to do. Lin Yi smiled. Something else? What are you going to do? Meng Yao asked subconsciously. Today, Qibing Real Estate said that they want to discuss compensation with Tang Yun's family, Lin Yi said. Oh. Meng Yao wasn't too happy when she heard that it was about Tang Yun's family again. Oh, are you going to negotiate? I want to go too. Yushu quickly swallowed the egg in her mouth and drank a mouthful of milk. What are you going to do? Lin Yi found it funny. My nickname is Negotiation Shu. Shield Bro, let me go, I promise you'll succeed, Yushu said. Shu, why do you have so many nicknames? What spy Shu? Meng Yao gave Yushu a kick, not wanting her to get involved in this mess. Oh, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I'm actually an all-rounder. Yushu said. Shield Bro, take me with you. I guarantee success. Lin Yi smiled bitterly at the eager Yushu. You really want to go? Yeah. Yushu nodded. Let's go then. Lin Yi didn't mind. It was just one more person. Yao Yao, Shield Bro agreed. Let's go together? Yushu was very excited. You're a 12th grader now, you can't skip class all the time. Mengyao said. Are you okay? Just a little while? If I don't go to school, there's no point in you going alone, Yao Yao, right? We're always together. Okay then. Mengyao hesitated and nodded. She then turned to Lin Yi. It's okay if we follow you, right? It's okay. Lin Yi didn't think much of it. After all, they weren't going to do anything sneaky. They were going to the headquarters of Qibing Real Estate to ask for money. After dinner, Lin Yi called Tang Yun and told her that he would pick her up at the hospital. He also mentioned that Mengyao and Yushu were going too. Tang Yun wasn't a stingy person. Although she felt that it was weird for Mengyao and Yushu to follow her today, she let them be if they wanted to. The relationship between the three was weird. They saw each other all the time. They weren't enemies, but they weren't friends either. Ever since the battle at Fatty Lai's house and the cafeteria incident, the relationship between the three girls became weird. On the surface it was still okay, but in her heart she was very cautious. Tang Yun wasn't an idiot. Miss and Yushu's threats made her feel uneasy. Because Mrs. Tang and Tang Yun were going, Lin Yi couldn't drive Mingyao's Audi S5. It would be too crowded, so Lin Yi could only drive the minivan. This time Mengyao and Yushu weren't picky. They obediently sat in the minivan. Although it was bumpy, Miss could still endure it. Lin Yi went to the hospital to pick up Mrs. Tang and Tang Yun. Mrs. Tang was surprised to see the two beauties in Lin Yi's car. She looked at her daughter nervously and asked in a low voice, "Who are they? Do you know them?" "Yes, they're Lin Yi's classmates." Tang Yun didn't tell her mother about the relationship between Miss and Lin Yi. It would be very complicated, and it wasn't something that could be understood in a few words. "They're so pretty. Do you want some immersion? What does their family do?" Mrs. Tang asked worriedly. "We'll talk about it when we get home," Tang Yun frowned. It wasn't good to talk about these things in the car. It would be bad if Lin Yi heard it. Mrs. Tang looked at Mengyao and Yushu. She felt that these two girls were as pretty as her daughter. Also, from the way they dressed, they didn't look like ordinary girls. They looked more like daughters from a rich family. Mrs. Tang saw that Tang Yun didn't answer her question, so she went to ask Mengyao herself. "Hello, you are?" "Auntie, we're here to help Lin Yi negotiate with Qibing Real Estate." Mengyao didn't know what to say. She hesitated and remembered Yushu's reason. "Help us negotiate?" Mrs. Tang heard Mingyao's answer and was surprised. "Yes, my dad runs a company too. He knows a little about this." Mengyao could only say that. She couldn't say that Yushu was messing around and wanted to follow them, right? It'd be awkward if Yushu were to start talking about first wife, second wife or something like that. "Is that so? Thank you so much." Mrs. Tang heard that they came because of this and was happy. As long as it didn't threaten her daughter's position, it would be easy. "It's nothing," Mengyao shook her head. Tang Yun let out a sigh of relief. She didn't want Mengyao to say something inappropriate and make her mother worry. As for how she would explain it to her mother, it was something she would worry about when they got home. At least she didn't have to embarrass herself now. Tang Yun looked at Mengyao gratefully and lowered her head again. She didn't know what to say. Suddenly Tang Yun felt disappointed. From the beginning, when Lin Yi came into her life, Lin Yi seemed to have been helping her family. He never stopped. Chapter 765. Yushu, regretful. It seemed like it was her family's business from the beginning. Lin Yi had been giving his all in silence. And what did she give to Lin Yi? Other than her looks, what other advantages did she have? In an instant Tang Yun started to feel inferior in front of Mengyao and Yushu. Thinking about it, she couldn't help Lin Yi in any way, but she had to trouble Lin Yi to do so many things for her family, including today's negotiation. Why did he treat her so well? Tang Yun was stuck in it and couldn't pull herself out. Tang Yun didn't know how to face Mengyao and Yushu. Perhaps they were a good match for Lin Yi? But she really couldn't give up her feelings. At this moment Tang Yun was in a dilemma. She didn't seem to have any advantage in front of Mengyao. The only consolation she had was the fact that she was Lin Yi's girlfriend, wasn't it? Tang Yun didn't want to continue like this. She didn't want to be a useless person. She wanted to help Lin Yi with some things, but she didn't know how to do it. She didn't even know where to start if she wanted to help Lin Yi with his company. She looked at her mother and was a little annoyed. How could her mother understand her troubles? She kept asking Lin Yi for this and that. Why did he give it to her? If her body could replace Lin Yi's kindness, Tang Yun would do it without hesitation. But Tang Yun knew that this wasn't an exchange. Feelings couldn't be exchanged. It wasn't as simple as repaying with her body. Who? Tang Yun took in a deep breath. But how could she repay Lin Yi? For the first time Tang Yun became sentimental. Only when there was a comparison would there be a difference. For the first time Tang Yun felt that she was lacking. Lin Yi drove the car to the Qibing skyscraper where Qibing Real Estate was located and parked the car in the underground parking lot. I didn't expect Qibing's skyscraper to be built so quickly. Aren't you afraid that it'll collapse again? Lin Yi didn't know that Tang Yun was thinking a lot on the way here. He joked to himself after getting off the car. Oh, I really want to see the building collapse. It's a pity that I didn't see it before. Yushu looked at the parking lot of Qibing's skyscraper and said disappointedly. Didn't the news report it? Mengyao said. But there's no process of it collapsing. Must be fun when it collapses. Yushu said as she fantasized. Bang, the building collapses. It's so fun. Alright, stop daydreaming. Let's go up. Mengyao said as she pulled Yushu's hand. On the second floor, there was a surveillance room next to the temporary demolition team office. Master Bing, Sihua, and Su Jiaonong were watching the surveillance footage from the parking lot. Qibing's skyscraper had just been completed and hadn't been officially opened yet. Thus, there were only the three of them in the building. Motherfucker, the building collapsed with a bang? Master Bing gritted his teeth after hearing Yushu's words. His eyes were filled with hatred. I'll make you guys explode with a bang later. This girl is called Yushu from House Qin. Sihua introduced Yushu's background. She's usually a little dumb. I think there's something wrong with her IQ. I don't care whose family she's from. Since she's with Lin Yi, she has to die. Master Bing laughed coldly and looked at Tang Yun and Mengyao. These two pretty girls, it's such a waste for them to die. Yeah, it's a waste for them to die, Sihua nodded. But my legs aren't good and it's not convenient for me to play with women. It doesn't matter if I die. Qibing felt a surge of hatred when he thought of his legs. Alright, let's go now and wait for them to come up? Sihua asked. Yeah, let's go together. Master Bing nodded. Sihua pushed Zhao Qibing and Su Jiaonong to the demolition project office and waited for Lin Yi and the others. Not long after Lin Yi, Tang Yun, Mrs. Tang, Mengyao, and Yushu came up to the demolition project office. Lin Yi didn't expect Qibing and Sihua to be here. He thought that only Su Jiaonong would come. Oh, my surname is Su. I'm the manager of Qibing Real Estate's demolition project. Su Jiaonong introduced himself. Oh, you don't need to introduce yourself. I know you. Aren't you that Jiaonong? What manager of Floating Cloud Bar? And that Sihua, I know him too. Aren't you guys from Floating Cloud Bar? Yushu didn't wait for Jiaonong to finish and interrupted him. Huh. Why is there a disabled person here? He came in a wheelchair. Are you guys a scammer? How did a bar owner come to open a real estate company? Ahem, other than running a bar, we also run a real estate company. Sihua sweated, but he didn't dare to say anything. Zhao Qibing was infuriated as well, but he didn't dare to fight Lin Yi head-on. After all, Lin Yi was a mystic class master, someone who could fight against Uncle Zhu head-on. Who knew how much of his strength had recovered? Even if he recovered half of it, it was more than enough to beat them up. Although Zhao Qibing was furious, he could only maintain a smile on his face. We seem to have a misunderstanding before? But it's all a misunderstanding. Today we sincerely invite you guys to discuss compensation. Zhao Qibing thought to himself. I'll lower my stance and make you guys happy first. Later I'll install a time bomb in your car. Let's see if you guys can still be happy then. Of course, Zhao Qibing wasn't afraid of being investigated. Other than the three of them, there was only Zhang Yuzhou who was waiting near the parking lot. When the time bomb exploded, there would be no evidence. If he didn't admit it, who could do anything to him? Qibing's building wasn't officially open yet. There were no witnesses. Oh, it's a misunderstanding. Lin Yi smiled. Although he had a smile on his face, he was more and more suspicious of Zhao Qibing's motives. Lin Yi didn't believe that Zhao Qibing would be so generous. He broke his leg, and not only did he say it was a misunderstanding, he even wanted to offer compensation. That wasn't being generous, he was an idiot. There must be something fishy going on. Lin Yi was very suspicious of Zhao Qibing's motives. This was also the reason why he came with Tang Yun's family. Of course, it's a misunderstanding. Zhao Qibing smiled and nodded. Jiaonong, tell us your compensation plan. Let Ms. Wang see if it's reasonable. Chapter 766. Xu the negotiator 2 million. Actually, to Mrs. Tang 2 million was already a lot. How could she not agree? But since Lin Yi came along, she needed Lin Yi's approval. 2 million? So little? Yushu spoke up. She thought that she couldn't come here for nothing. She had to use Xu the negotiator's advantage. But she really didn't know how to negotiate. She said that she was Xu the negotiator in the morning, but it was just bullshit. She just wanted to join in the fun. Of course, 2 million is just the number we suggested. If you don't think it's suitable, we can discuss it. Jiaonong didn't expect Yushu to speak up before Mrs. Tang could. However, he had a principle in mind. No matter what the other party's request was, he had to calm them down first. Once Zhang Yuzhou was done with the time bomb, everything would be fine. You should at least give me 200 million, right? Yushu thought for a while and suddenly remembered the saying on TV. Ask for as much as you want, but you'll have to pay. So she directly gave him 200 million. Jiaonong was so shocked that he rolled his eyes. 200 million? Why don't you go rob someone? 200 million? Wasn't that a little too much? Was that a bungalow or a skyscraper? Zhao Qibing frowned. Although he had decided to agree to some of Lin Yi's unreasonable requests, he couldn't ask for too much, could he? 200 million? What kind of joke was this? Even if he agreed, Lin Yi wouldn't believe him. Instead, he would suspect his motives. So Zhao Qibing could only say, "Little girl, isn't this price a little insincere? No, I heard that your skyscraper collapsed with a bang. You didn't even care and built another one." Yushu blinked. This skyscraper is at least 100 million, right? So 200 million isn't too much at all. Zhao Qibing's eyes widened. What was this? It was two completely different things. The skyscraper collapsed with a bang? Did he want it to collapse? If it wasn't for Lin Yi, this bastard, how would his skyscraper collapse? Zhao Qibing gritted his teeth in anger. He wanted to bite Lin Yi to death. The building is only worth 100 million, and your bungalows are made of gold and silver? Is it worth 200 million? Qibing frowned. Mrs. Tang, who was at the side, also widened her eyes. How are these two people here to negotiate? Was he clearly here to cause trouble? What if he made the other party angry and refused to give him a single cent? However, Lin Yi didn't say anything at the moment, so Mrs. Tang couldn't say anything. She could only pray in her heart. It would be good if they could get 2 million yuan. Please don't lose even 2 million yuan. Wouldn't it be 200 million if your skyscraper collapses again? Yushu counted with her fingers. When will your skyscraper collapse again? Don't forget to invite me to take a look around. What algorithm is this? Zhao Qibing was infuriated. He wanted to ask Yushu if she was here to cause trouble, but when he remembered that the people in front of him were about to be killed by the bomb, he felt much better. Oh, then how much can you pay? Yushu didn't want to talk to him anymore. It wasn't fun at all. 3 million, this is our limit. Zhao Qibing raised 3 fingers. Naturally, he couldn't give Lin Yi so many benefits in one go. He wanted to delay as much time as possible and wait for Zhang Yuzhou to install the bomb. You're so stingy. No wonder the skyscraper collapsed. If you continue to be so stingy, the skyscraper will collapse again. Yushu's mind was filled with the skyscraper collapsing, so she talked about the skyscraper collapsing. Even if it collapses, you don't have to worry about it. Zhao Qibing was furious. You have such a bad conscience. Why do you always want my skyscraper to collapse? What's in it for you if the skyscraper collapses? Of course, if Zhao Qibing knew that Yushu wanted the skyscraper to collapse just for fun, would he die of anger on the spot? Mrs. Tang's heart skipped a beat. 3 million. Another million in such a short time? It couldn't be, right? Could this kind of negotiation really produce results? Mrs. Tang was a little surprised. Was this really the negotiation method of rich people? Was it because he was too ill-informed? Was Yushu actually helping her family? At this moment, Mrs. Tang had no more doubts in her heart. No matter what method Yushu used, as long as she could get the compensation, she didn't care what she said. Oh shield bro, he only gave 3 million. I can't do it anymore. You do it. Yushu felt that it was good enough that she got 1 million more. But, Yushu's words were a little ambiguous. I can't do it anymore. You do it. Lin Yi sweated. Why did it feel like she was hinting at something? Meng Yao seemed to have sensed something wrong, but since Tang Yun and Mrs. Tang were there, she didn't say anything. If Meng Yao could sense it, naturally Tang Yun could as well. She looked at Yushu, not knowing if she did it on purpose or not. Tang Yun felt that Yushu wasn't as dumb as she looked on the surface. She had other intentions. Of course, Tang Yun didn't find any evidence. On the surface, Yushu was indeed dumb. "Oh, okay, I'll do it." Lin Yi pretended that he didn't hear it and said. Mrs. Tang's mind wasn't on this. Her attention was on the 1 million and she didn't have the heart to listen to anything else. Qibing, Xihua and Su Jiaonong were the same. Their attention was on keeping Lin Yi's group steady so that Zhang Yuchu would have enough time. "Alright, Xiao Qibing, don't increase it by 1 million. Tell me your bottom line." Lin Yi didn't know what Qibing was playing at, so he didn't know what his bottom line was. Until now, Lin Yi still couldn't understand why Qibing called him here. Was it just compensation for Tang Yun's family? Lin Yi didn't believe it unless Qibing, Xihua and Jiaonong were stupid as well. Moreover, Zhao Qibing easily increased the compensation price from 2 million to 3 million, so it seemed like this number could still be increased. 5 million, this is my bottom line, Qibing said, but I have a request. What request? Lin Yi frowned. Was this the reason why they called him here? Chapter 767. A check for 5 million not interfering with the relocation of the slums? Lin Yi didn't think that Zhao Qibing would go through so much trouble just because of this. If Zhao Qibing was afraid that he would ruin his plan, it was possible that he would use money to convince him. Seeing Lin Yi's expression, Zhao Qibing was proud of himself. He had planned this for a long time. If he only gave Lin Yi benefits, then Lin Yi would definitely be suspicious. Wouldn't he be an idiot if he gave him benefits after his leg was broken? While he gave him the money, he also made this request, so everything seemed reasonable. He wanted to demolish the slums and Lin Yi was the biggest threat. He was afraid that Lin Yi would interfere with the relocation of the slums, so he gave him such a generous compensation. This way it was equivalent to him showing his weakness. He just wanted to keep his face, so he gave him the money in the name of compensation. This way, Lin Yi wouldn't suspect his ulterior motives. Otherwise, no one would be an idiot. How could he break his leg, collapse his building and pay 3 million in medical fees, and then pay another few million in compensation? Wouldn't he be an idiot? Zhao Qibing's condition really put Lin Yi in a difficult position. Logically speaking, the relocation of the slums had nothing to do with him. Lin Yi wasn't someone who liked to meddle in other people's business, but the problem was, would Tang Yun let him? So Lin Yi looked at Tang Yun. Tang Yun was actually in a difficult position. If possible, she wanted Lin Yi to take care of the poor people in the slums. If she didn't meet Lin Yi, her family would probably be the same as them. Maybe Zhao Qibing would take a liking to her and it would be even worse. However, although Tang Yun thought that way, she couldn't do it. No matter how strong Lin Yi was, he couldn't take care of everything, could he? There were so many injustices in the world, how could Lin Yi manage them all? Besides, Zhao Qibing had made it very clear that if there were neighbors that he had a good relationship with, he could help them personally. This had nothing to do with the demolition. However, even if Tang Yun took out the 5 million, there were so many residents in the slums. Each family would only get a few thousand yuan. It was a drop in the bucket. So Tang Yun hesitated. Mrs. Tang didn't care. What did others have to do with her? If other people were poor and couldn't get compensation, it was because they didn't have the ability. If they didn't have a son-in-law like Lin Yi, who could they blame? They could only blame their daughters for being useless. When her man was bedridden at home, she didn't see anyone give her family money or help her find connections. Although Shantytown was basically poor, it was impossible for everyone to have no connections. If Tang Juqing could find someone to intercede on his behalf, he wouldn't be unable to get a penny. At the same time, there was another resident in the slums who also worked in the electronics factory. He also scalded his feet due to work injury. He used his connections and paid more than 10,000 yuan. At that time, Mrs. Tang went to their door to ask for help, but that family didn't want to implicate them, so they didn't even open the door. So Mrs. Tang thought to herself, I don't care if you live or die. I'll take my money and live in my big house. However, although Mrs. Tang thought so, with Lin Yi there, she couldn't make the decision. She could only look at Lin Yi. Oh, okay. Lin Yi saw that Tang Yun didn't say anything. It was obvious that he had the initiative in his hands, but for the slums, the compensation shouldn't be too low. Try to implement it according to the standard? This was the last thing Linny could do. Linny had tried his best to do this. After all, no matter how powerful Linny was, he couldn't force Zhao Qibing to give 5 million to each family, right? He wouldn't be able to earn money then. He would lose money in a few days. I'll think about it, Zhao Qibing nodded. Zhao Qibing nodded. No matter what, he agreed to Lin Yi's request first. If Lin Yi died later, he wouldn't have to carry out the mission anymore. Okay, when will you give me the money? Lin Yi nodded. Oh, I'll get someone to write a 5 million check and send it over, Zhao Qibing said. Isn't it faster to transfer money? Lin Yi frowned slightly. Transfer money. It's like this, our company's account has a monthly transfer limit. Didn't I just transfer you 3 million? So if you transfer another 5 million, it would exceed the limit. Zhao Qibing had already thought of an answer and said calmly. Oh, then get someone to send it over. Although Lin Yi was suspicious of Zhao Qibing's intentions, he still nodded. Okay, I'll make a call now, Zhao Qibing said and gave Zihua a look. Zihua understood immediately. He took out his phone and called Zhang Yuzhou. Hello, Zhang Yuzhou? Where are you? Zihua stood up and walked to the window purposely so that Lin Yi and the others couldn't hear his voice on the phone. Zihua bro, don't worry. I'm in a very safe place, Zhang Yuzhou said. The bomb has been installed. As soon as Lin Yi starts the car, the timer will start. Oh, then prepare a 5 million check for me right now, Zihua said. Okay, I'll go now, Zhang Yuzhou said. In fact, this call was for Zihua to confirm whether the bomb was installed or not. As for the check, it was just a random excuse. After a while, Zhang Yuzhou knocked on the door and walked in. He placed a check in front of Zhao Qibing. Master Bing, the check is ready. Okay, let me see. Zhao Qibing looked at the amount on the check. After making sure that there were no problems, he signed his name on it. He then passed it to Lin Yi. You can make a call to confirm the validity of the check. Lin Yi nodded and took the check. He called the bank and made sure that the check could be cashed before giving it back to Mrs. Tang. Zhao Qibing's attitude today was very strange. Lin Yi had to be more careful. As for what Zhao Qibing said about not letting him interfere with the slums, Lin Yi felt that it was a bit unreliable. In fact, from the start of the demolition until now, Lin Yi was only helping Tang Yun's family. As for the others, Lin Yi didn't interfere at all. With that, today's negotiation ended smoothly. Zhao Qibing didn't ask Lin Yi and the others to stay. He turned to Zihua. Zihua, go send Lin Yi and Miss Wang's family off. Chapter 768. Playing tricks. Zihua had completely defined this negotiation on the level of benefits, which made it seem more real. Zihua wanted Lin Yi to think that they were only compromising because they hoped that Lin Yi wouldn't destroy the slums. I hope you're telling the truth. Don't play any tricks and reap what you sow. Lin Yi nodded and naturally didn't want to stay any longer. He brought Tang Yun, Mrs. Tang Mengyao and Yushu out of Qibing's office. When Yushu left, she seemed a little reluctant. Zhao Qibing, do you have a recording of your skyscraper collapsing? What do you want? Qibing frowned, thinking that Yushu was a troublesome person. Oh, nothing, I just thought it was fun and wanted to watch. Yushu said. Oh no. Let's go. Qibing was pissed as he waved his hand at Yushu impatiently. Oh, that's too bad. Next time when your skyscraper collapses, you have to tell me in advance so I can come and watch. Yushu said disappointedly. There won't be a next time. Qibing almost jumped out of his wheelchair. Motherfucker, are you here to cause trouble? I'll blow you up later. Mengyao pulled Yushu back, telling her not to say anything. After all, this was someone else's territory, and Mengyao was afraid that Yushu would cause trouble. Yushu stuck out her tongue and followed Lin Yi out of the office. The group got into the elevator and went to the underground parking lot. Qibing, Zihua, Su Jiaonong and Yuzhou, who were in the office, came to the surveillance room and saw Lin Yi's group getting into the car. They burst into laughter. So what if Lin Yi is good at martial arts? He's still going to die from the explosion. Qibing laughed. Yeah, you won't be able to cash the check. When the time comes, with a bang it will explode and the check will turn into powder. You won't be able to cash it. Su Jiaonong sneered. When Qibing and Zihua were discussing, Jiaonong had suggested using a check to pay Lin Yi and the others. Once the money was transferred, they wouldn't be able to get it back. Using a check, on the other hand, as long as the check was destroyed, the money in the bank would be gone. And Su Jiaonong, you're still the ghost Dao. Not bad, not only did you kill Lin Yi, you also saved us a lot of money. Qibing praised. Isn't this because of Master Bing's good training? Master Bing doesn't want to think about such insignificant tricks. Master Bing is someone who does big things. Leave this kind of conspiracy to us little brothers. Su Jiaonong said modestly. And Zhang Yuzhou is the time bomb, okay? Qibing nodded and looked at Zhang Yuzhou. Don't worry, Master Bing, I got TNT explosives. With such a big bag, not to mention a van, even a skyscraper would be blown to the ground. Zhang Yuzhou said proudly, this time I don't believe that Lin Yi won't die. I'm just worried that when they explode it will affect other people. Affect other people? That has nothing to do with us. Who told those idiots to get close to their car? They deserve to be blown up. Qibing didn't care about other people's lives. From his perspective, as long as Lin Yi died, it was fine. If other people didn't die, it was their own fate. That's true, who told them to get close to Lin Yi's car? They deserve to be blown up. Zhang Yuzhou added, I set the time for the explosion to happen 20 minutes later. With the current traffic, it's impossible to reach the First People's Hospital, Lin Yi's villa, or the nearest bank within 20 minutes from Qibing's skyscraper. So, as long as Lin Yi doesn't stop the car in the middle of the road and walk away, he's dead for sure. That's good, then we'll wait for the good news. Qibing nodded, his heart filled with joy. It wasn't that the time hadn't come yet, but what about it? No matter how strong Lin Yi was, no matter how strong he was, he would still be blown up by him, wouldn't he? Lin Yi got in the car, and just as he started the engine, the jade jumped and sent a signal of danger. As expected, there was a problem. Lin Yi's heart tightened as he quietly turned off the engine. Clack, clack. From inside the car there was a faint sound that sounded like the second hand of a mechanical clock. Time bomb, that was the first thought that came to Lin Yi's mind. Although he had been in Songshan for more than a month, Lin Yi still hadn't forgotten the cruelty of the battlefield. It was impossible to make such a sound in a car. Since the jade had sent a signal of danger, Lin Yi naturally didn't suspect that there was a time bomb in his car. In an instant, Lin Yi understood why Qibing had asked him to come here to talk about the compensation. So this was what he was planning. He could stabilize himself during the negotiation, and then in the parking lot of the skyscraper he could install a time bomb in his car without any worries. This way, when he drove the car out of the skyscraper, the bomb would explode not long after, and he and the people in the car would be smashed into pieces. This was a good plan, wasn't it? Lin Yi also understood why Qibing didn't use the bank transfer method and used a check instead. After the car exploded, the check would naturally be smashed into pieces. That way the money in the bank wouldn't be lost. This Qibing wasn't stupid, was he? After understanding Qibing's plan, Lin Yi smiled coldly. He didn't want him to interfere with the slum's demolition? What a good excuse. If it was someone else who wasn't vigilant, they would have fallen into the trap already. Luckily, Lin Yi didn't believe Qibing from the start and had been vigilant from the start. Lin Yi quietly started the car again and drove out of the underground parking lot of Qibing's skyscraper. After entering the main road, he quickly stopped the car at a blind spot by the roadside. This corner couldn't be seen from the skyscraper. An evil plan was born in Lin Yi's mind, so Lin Yi couldn't let Qibing and Xihua know what he was doing. Chapter 769. Chapter 0769. Qibing didn't believe that the police would do anything to him, since there was no evidence. With his status, no one could touch him. But it wouldn't be a good thing if he attracted the attention of the police. What's wrong? Tang Yun asked curiously when she saw Lin Yi suddenly stop the car by the roadside. It's nothing, there seems to be something wrong with the car. I'll go check. Lin Yi naturally wouldn't say anything about the bomb in case the people in the car panicked. Of course, Lin Yi wasn't in a rush. He wasn't afraid that the bomb would explode immediately, since Qibing and Xihua weren't idiots. They wouldn't set the time for the bomb to go off in a short time. If Lin Yi didn't drive out of the parking lot and the bomb exploded, they would be in trouble as well. Can't you go buy a better car? Meng Yao didn't have high hopes for Lin Yi's broken car. I'll probably go buy one soon. Maybe we can drive yours and choose next time? Lin Yi shrugged with a smile. I'll let you drive the S5 next time. Meng Yao didn't care about cars. She didn't like things like that. She didn't mind giving it to Lin Yi. Lin Yi didn't reply. With Tang Yun here it wasn't easy to answer. Tang Yun looked at Meng Yao and pursed her lips. She didn't say anything. What Meng Yao could give to Lin Yi, she couldn't return it to him now. However, Tang Yun's mood had changed a lot. She realized that if she had a grateful heart, she wouldn't feel that Meng Yao and Yushu were hostile towards her. They could help Lin Yi, so why should she stop them? Besides, some things couldn't be stopped. The only thing she could do was to work hard and become someone who could help Lin Yi. Lin Yi got out of the car and quickly found the time bomb Zhao Qibing's men had installed in the car's undercarriage. It was a very old-fashioned mechanical time bomb and it was easy to dismantle. But in China, in a place like Songshan, it was already very good to be able to get a bomb of this level. Those high-end electronic bombs couldn't be bought so easily. In such a hurried situation, this was the best he could do. Lin Yi checked the remaining time of the bomb. There were 17 minutes left. The enemy must have set it to explode in 20 minutes. After reading it, Lin Yi did not touch the ticking time bomb, nor did he intend to dismantle it. Lin Yi stood up and got in the car, starting it up again. How is it? Mei Yao asked. I'll show you a good show later. Lin Yi drove the car slowly on the road. Oh, there's a good show? What kind of show was there? I want to watch. Yushu was excited to see a good show. It's what you want to see the most. Lin Yi realized that Yushu could be considered a prophecy monarch now. Every time she said something unintentionally, it would come true. What I want to see the most. Yushu was stunned. She didn't understand what Lin Yi was talking about. You'll know later. Lin Yi smiled. Meng Yao and Tang Yun were confused. They didn't know what Lin Yi was talking about. They wanted to ask, but Yushu had asked before and Lin Yi didn't say anything specific. So they didn't continue asking. Lin Yi drove the car to a place where he could see the Qibing skyscraper. This place was far away from the skyscraper, but there was still a certain distance between them. Lin Yi was afraid that if the skyscraper really collapsed, it would hurt a few people. Lin Yi found a spot with a good view and stopped the car. Why are we stopping here? Mei Yao was confused. Shield bro, when are we going to watch the show? Yushu asked. Here, Lin Yi said. You guys get off here. Here. Tang Yun and Meng Yao froze. Only Yushu jumped down the car excitedly and looked around. Here. Lin Yi nodded. Here. Look at the Qibing skyscraper. There will be a good show soon. Meng Yao wanted to say something, but seeing that Lin Yi was so sure, she didn't ask any more and got off the car with Yushu. Tang Yun also got off the car with Mrs. Tang. Mrs. Tang was confused and kept asking Tang Yun what was going on. I don't know either. But Lin Yi wants us to watch the show? Let's watch, Tang Yun said to her mother. In fact, Tang Yun had already guessed something. Was Lin Yi going to do something to Zhao Qibing? Would it be dangerous? Tang Yun wanted to tell Lin Yi to be careful, but she swallowed her words when she saw Lin Yi's confident smile. Wait for me here. Lin Yi didn't get off the car and said to Tang Yun, Meng Yao and Yushu. What are you going to do? Don't listen to Shu and mess around. Meng Yao was worried. I'm just returning something to Zhao Qibing. Lin Yi smiled and started the car, slowly driving towards the Qibing skyscraper. Yao sis, Shield bro said that he wants to watch the show? What are we going to watch? Yushu looked at Meng Yao curiously. I don't know. Didn't I tell you to watch the Qibing skyscraper? Meng Yao pointed at the skyscraper. Oh, is Shield bro going to bomb the skyscraper? Oh, that's awesome. Yushu thought of this possibility and was extremely excited. Shield bro is too good to me. I love you so much. Meng Yao glared at Yushu. What are you blabbering about? It's nothing. Yushu shut her mouth. Tang Yun frowned. Wasn't this Yushu embarrassed? She dared to say anything? Even she didn't dare to say that, right? But was Lin Yi really going to bomb the skyscraper? Tang Yun faintly felt that this was the case. Since Lin Yi asked them to wait here and watch Qibing's skyscraper, something must have happened to the skyscraper. But why did Lin Yi want to bomb the skyscraper? Was it just to please Yushu? Although Tang Yun felt that Lin Yi wasn't a shallow person, she took a closer look at Yushu. This girl was really likable. If she was a guy, maybe she would like her too. Lin Yi calculated the time and drove the car into the underground parking lot of Qibing skyscraper when there were only 5 minutes left. After getting off the car, Lin Yi locked the car and quickly left the skyscraper. A cold smile appeared on Lin Yi's face. You still want to use the bomb? Then enjoy the power of the bomb. Chapter 770. The skyscraper collapses again. We have to open the champagne tonight to celebrate Lin Yi's death. Our business in Songshan is going to soar. Qibing wanted to kill Lin Yi even in his dreams, and now that his dream had come true, he was so happy that he didn't know what to do. It's about time. The time bomb on Lin Yi's car should be exploding soon, right? Yuchu said as he looked at the time on his watch. Yes, Zihua. Go turn on the TV, the news should be reporting soon. Qibing ordered. Yes, Master Bing. Zihua turned around and was about to turn on the TV when his phone rang. Zihua subconsciously took it out and saw that it was Lin Yi. He hesitated for a moment before answering. He didn't know why Lin Yi was calling him at this time, but it was good enough to hear the moment Lin Yi died. Oh, Lin Yi, what's up? Zihua pretended to be calm. Zihua bro, I just remembered that I have something to do. I'll leave the car with you for now. If anything happens, I'll have to ask for compensation. Lin Yi said before hanging up. Oh, what do you mean? What are you talking about? What? Zihua suddenly exclaimed as he stared at the monitor. He froze on the spot as if a spell had been cast on him. What are you doing? Qibing was shocked by Zihua's sudden quack, and he scolded him, dissatisfied. What? Qibing was shocked by the sudden quack. Master Bing, bad news, bad news. He's back. Zihua only recovered from the shock after Qibing's scolding. He pointed at the monitor with a trembling finger. He's back. Back. Qibing paused. Lin Yi's back. Zihua said hurriedly. Lin Yi drove the car back to the underground parking lot. What? What did you say? Qibing was shocked when he heard Zihua's words. He turned to look at the monitor and froze. Lin Yi's broken van appeared in the underground parking lot of Qibing's skyscraper again. Quick, get this car out of here. We don't have the keys. Even if we push the car out now, we won't make it in time. There are less than 5 minutes left before the bomb explodes. Zhang Yuzhou also saw the scene on the monitor. He pointed at his watch while trembling and said, Master Bing, let's run for our lives. Then remove the bomb and throw it away. Master Bing was shocked and immediately ordered. Master Bing, we don't have enough time. Plus, who would dare to go? It'll take us at least 2 minutes to get down from the elevator. Let's run for our lives. Zihua said after a moment of silence. Motherfucker, hurry up and push me downstairs. Lin Yi, fuck your uncle. You wire. Master Bing's eyes were bloodshot. He was about to explode. Zihua didn't dare to stay any longer. He pushed Master Bing into the elevator with Su Jiaonong and Zhang Yuzhou following behind. The four of them got out of the elevator and ran madly out of the skyscraper. Qibing didn't care about the bumpiness of the wheelchair as he urged, quick, 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 quick. The four of them finally got out of the skyscraper. When they reached the opposite side of the skyscraper, they heard a loud bang followed by the rumbling sound of the skyscraper collapsing. The majestic brand new Qibing skyscraper turned into ruins in an instant. Qibing looked at his newly built skyscraper collapsing just like that. He wanted to cry but no tears came out. Gone. Gone again. Qibing felt like he was dreaming. The first skyscraper collapsed on the first day it was built. The second skyscraper also collapsed on the first day it was built. This speed was simply unprecedented and would never be matched in the future. Zihua's face was green as well. He didn't expect Lin Yi to do this. Wasn't this too cunning? There were less than 5 minutes left and he drove the car back. Who would dare touch the car now? Even if they knew there was a bomb, they wouldn't dare to go near it. But what kind of bomb is this? Why is it so powerful? Qibing's eyes widened as he asked with bloodshot eyes. Hey. I was afraid that it wouldn't be enough to kill Lin Yi. He's a golden class master after all, so I used a strong TNT. Zhang Yuzhou said weakly. Motherfucker, my skyscraper. Qibing almost cried. Was it easy for him? The first skyscraper was demolished by Lin Yi the moment it was built. The second skyscraper was also just built and Lin Yi blew it up. But who was to blame? Should she blame Lin Yi or should she blame herself? Zhao Qibing felt very annoyed. He was supposed to kill Lin Yi with the bomb, but in the end Lin Yi didn't die. Instead, his skyscraper was blown to the ground. Wasn't this too unfair? If the skyscraper and Lin Yi were blown up together, Qibing would accept it. As long as Lin Yi died, the skyscraper would be destroyed. The point was that nothing happened to Lin Yi. Master Bing, I didn't expect this either. I should have used normal explosives. Zhang Yuzhou explained guiltily when he saw Qibing's distorted face. Lin Yi, if I don't kill you, my name isn't Zhao Qibing. Fuck you. Qibing, on the other hand, didn't blame Zhang Yuzhou. Zhang Yuzhou had done it out of kindness. He was afraid that it wouldn't be enough to kill Lin Yi, so he used explosives. Why would Qibing blame him? Lin Yi was too cunning. If Lin Yi didn't drive the car back, the skyscraper wouldn't have collapsed. But at that moment, Sihua's phone rang. It's Lin Yi. Sihua looked at the caller ID and said carefully. Answer it. Let's see what he has to say. Qibing gritted his teeth. Hello. Sihua picked up the phone. Sihua bro, what happened to your skyscraper? My car is still in the underground parking lot. You guys are too irresponsible. You have to pay for my losses. Lin Yi's voice was pale from the other side of the phone. Sihua wanted to curse, but he didn't after some hesitation. Qibing, who was on the side, heard the conversation as well. He reached his hand out to Sihua. Give me the phone. Sihua quickly passed the phone to Qibing. Lin Yi, you're good, we'll see. Qibing said hatefully. Chapter 771. Shield bro was too strong. Qibing almost had smoke coming out of his head from Lin Yi's words. You're going to call the police? Who am I going to call the police? It's my building that got blown up, alright? But Qibing didn't dare let Lin Yi call the police. If they were to investigate this matter, they might find some loopholes. After all, Lin Yi's car exploded in the parking lot of Qibing's skyscraper. If they were to investigate the source of the bomb, Qibing was afraid that something would go wrong. It's just a broken van, do you really need that much money? Qibing said hatefully. Master Bing, that's not true. My car is very high-end. I spent 300,000 on it. Lin Yi said calmly. Fuck. 300,000? Qibing almost threw the phone in his hand. 300,000? Why don't you go rob someone? Do you think you're driving a BMW? Even if it's a BMW that's about the same quality as a broken van, it's not worth 300,000. 300,000, I'll pay you. Qibing didn't want to waste time with Lin Yi. But remember, we're not done here. Sihua bro has my account number. Just ask him to transfer the money to me. Lin Yi smiled. Bank account, it won't be over the limit this time, right? Qibing was infuriated by Lin Yi. He hung up and threw the phone on the ground. Master Bing, we're really going to go bankrupt this time. Sihua didn't care if his phone was broken or not. He built 2 skyscrapers. The first one was funded by Gubong and Sihua was only supporting him. But the second one was completely funded by Sihua. Sihua's heart was bleeding when the skyscraper collapsed. That was all his money. It was gone just like that. Demolish it tomorrow. Demolish the slums, demolish the orphanage. Build the houses for me, I want to recover all the losses. Qibing roared. Start the demolition project as soon as possible. Yes, Master Bing. Sihua nodded. But the Qibing skyscraper, I'm not doing it anymore. Let's rent an office for now and wait for the money from the slums and the orphanage to build the Qibing skyscraper. Zhao Qibing didn't care about his face anymore. He knew that Qibing real estate had suffered a huge blow. If they didn't make any money, they would really go bankrupt. Qibing had wanted to show House Zhao some results, but not only did he fail to do so, but 2 of his skyscrapers were destroyed. Forget about entering House Zhao, he'd be lucky if the direct descendants of House Zhao didn't treat him as a joke. Okay, I got it. I'll go to Shantytown tomorrow and deal with this personally. Sihua sighed. How to deal with Lin Yi was Zhao Qibing's problem. At the very least, the people in his hands couldn't fight against Lin Yi. From the looks of it, it was useless to play tricks with Lin Yi. Just like today's bomb, not only did it not hit Lin Yi, but it blew up his skyscraper instead. He was as unlucky as he could get. Not far from the skyscraper, Meng Yao, Yushu, Tang Yun and Mrs. Tang stood by the roadside and stared at the skyscraper. They didn't know what would happen to it. Yao Yao sis, is there any problem with the skyscraper? Yushu asked anxiously. Don't worry, take your time. Meng Yao didn't know what Lin Yi was doing, so she could only explain it to Yushu. Oh. Yushu just nodded and heard a loud bang. Then Qibing's skyscraper collapsed as if it was a special effect in a movie. It instantly turned into ruins. Qibing's skyscraper collapsed. Meng Yao's eyes widened and so did Tang Yun's and Mrs. Tang's eyes. Damn, shield bro is too strong. Yushu smacked her lips and looked at the scene in front of her in disbelief. She didn't think that Lin Yi would collapse Qibing's skyscraper. Although she said that before, she only said that the skyscraper collapsed. It wasn't something that could be done so easily. However, Lin Yi did it. Yushu felt sweet in her heart. Shield bro treated her so well. She wanted to see the skyscraper collapse, so he did it. His mistress was still very spoiled. Meng Yao rubbed her eyes and couldn't believe the scene in front of her. Did it really collapse? Tang Yun also felt that Lin Yi was too ruthless. He just made someone else's skyscraper collapse and now he made it collapse again? Master Bing said that this skyscraper was worth 100 million. 100 million was gone just like that. How much was that? Tang Yun felt dizzy. Mrs. Tang was also heartbroken. Wouldn't it be great if so much money was given to her family? It was gone just like that, what a pity. Was it fun? Lin Yi came back while everyone was still in shock. Oh shield bro, you're so strong. I'm so excited. Yushu screamed, I finally saw the skyscraper collapse, it's so fun. Lin Yi, how did you do it? Meng Yao was surprised as well. How did Lin Yi do it? Lin Yi, are you okay? Tang Yun didn't want to be outdone and asked with concern. Zhao Qibing wanted to kill us, so he put a time bomb in the car. Lin Yi wasn't afraid to explain now that he was out of danger. I just drove the car back to their underground parking lot. Time bomb. Meng Yao was shocked. You said that there was a problem with the car, but you were actually checking for the bomb? That's right, but I didn't say it because I didn't want you to worry. Lin Yi nodded. Why did you do such a dangerous thing? You knew there was a bomb, why didn't you run away? Why did you drive the car back? Tang Yun was scared after hearing Lin Yi's words. If he didn't control the time well, it wouldn't be the skyscraper that got blown up, it would be Lin Yi. Could it be that Lin Yi took the risk just to please Yushu? Tang Yun didn't feel comfortable. Isn't that letting them off easy? Plus, what if the car exploded on the side of the road? Lin Yi shrugged. The best place I could think of was their own skyscraper parking lot, and it wouldn't hurt innocent people. Oh, then did Zhao Qibing die? Yushu asked excitedly. No, I called them before the explosion. If they died, who would pay for the car? Lin Yi didn't think that he could kill Zhao Qibing. Even if he didn't call them, they could still see him driving the car back to the building. You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.